DK Metcalf from the Seattle Seahawks, and you're watching NORBFAM. What's up, everybody? This is NORBFAM coming at you on this Saturday night, the night before the big game tomorrow, the Seahawks Cardinals. And I'm glad you guys are hanging out tonight. You know, it's just kind of a chill evening, you know, just to hang out, talk a little football. And yeah, this is, you know, the show opened as the Roundtable. We really don't have the table, but we do have a member of the Roundtable here. So it's a start because we haven't done these in a long time. I wish we could get more in here, but, you know, we're getting there. We're getting there. So I'm going to bring in my special guest who I haven't talked to in so long, and I miss this guy. But I'm glad to finally be back sharing the screen with him here. Member of the Roundtable, special guest, Squabo Says, Noah Boelter. What's up? Should I call you Squabo or Noah? What do you prefer for me to call you, man?
Yeah, call me Squab, man. Call me
Squab. All right, Squabo, man. It has been a long time. I know you've been busy. You've been doing all kinds of stuff at Wazoo. Just so that we can kind of get everybody up to speed as to who you are. Fill in everybody what you've been up to. Because I know your sports career over there has been taking off. I think the last time we really had any kind of in-depth conversation, you know, you were starting to run the TV program over there, and, you know, radio was part of that. But really, we haven't connected since all the sports, you know, seasons have started this fall. So what have you been up to? Share with the audience what's been going on.
Man, Norb, it's been crazy, man. It's been an adventure for sure. So it's my first season where everything's kind of back to normal in person. So I'm a student at Wazoo, right? And I started going here last year during COVID. So my first season, I went to the one home football game we had, the home game versus Oregon, but I wasn't able to go on the field and there were no fans, so it wasn't exactly the same experience. But this year, thanks to a lot of my classes, I've been given spectacular amounts of access. Every single home football game this year I've had access to, not as a fan, as an analyst. I've been on the field, I've been in the press box, every single game for different programs. So I'm in a class where they had me go and getting footage and all this stuff. And I've been able to network with all of these different events. I'll tell you more about that in a little bit. But I get to go on the field and record video for a post-game recap and do social media posts and updates throughout the games. Or I'll be in the press box calling the game on the radio or on a Facebook page. Or there's so many different things. Or I'll be writing a pre-story and a post-story about the game. And so all these different elements, and I'm going and I'm making connections and I'm meeting the people involved. And because I'm meeting people, they're getting me in through other ways. And I'm going with different organizations. So I'm seeing different things like how to get set up so that you're allowed to take photos, so that even when I go for a different organization, I'm able to take photos for them too. So all sorts of different things like that. That's been spectacular. So like I said, I've covered every home football game this year. I also, yesterday or 2 days ago now, covered my first volleyball game. And
yes,
I hadn't even...
Volleyball!
I hadn't even been to a volleyball game before for Wazoo. And I know that's crazy, but like the first game I go to, I covered it for the Pac-12 network. And not only covering it for them, I was doing the color commentary for it. So...
That's awesome. You had to suddenly become this expert, like you know this team in and out, and you haven't even seen them play yet live at all.
It was crazy. It was unreal. But the volleyball team was spectacular, and it was such a surreal experience. Like, I was sitting right next to like all the action, and the head coach Jen Greeny comes over, starts chatting with us before, and I actually have a connection that I Cindy Brunson, who's one of the people that I'll talk about in a little bit. She's one of the people that made it out of Wazoo that I interviewed, and when I interviewed her, she asked me if I was going to cover some volleyball, and she told me to say hi to Jen Greeny, the head coach. And so now I'm saying hi to Jen Greeny, connecting it with Cindy Brunson. So there's automatically that connection. But Jen Greeny was so nice, and she's giving us updates about Pia Timmer and how she's injured. She should be back within 2 weeks. And now I'm talking with this guy. I'm working with the ultimate professional, right? Like, he's so used to calling all these volleyball games by himself. When he has help, it's just even easier. And, you know, I heard some good and some bad things about him before the game, but from my personal experience, his name's Steve Grubbs, and he is spectacular. So covering that game on the Pac-12 network, the highlight video, one of my better calls was in it, and it's just a lot of fun. And then you can rewatch the entire game if you just look up the highlights for Wazoo versus Oregon volleyball this week. It was so much fun. You'll see me doing color the entire game.
So just search up on YouTube, just Washington State or Wazoo Cougars women's volleyball.
Yep.
Cougars versus Oregon, right?
Oregon.
Okay,
Yep.
and it'll pop in there. All right.
It was a huge game for the volleyball tournament potential. It was a huge game within the Pac-12. Now we're tied with Utah, I think, for third. And just the fact that, like, we did it without our best player too. So it was this huge magnitude. It went 5 sets. It was a battle.
5 sets. That's always exciting.
Yep. Down to the wire. So that was a lot of fun. And then I've been able to, oh my goodness, man. The connections out here have been ridiculous.
Sorry, Alexa, volume 1. Okay. Yeah. Talk about those connections, man. Talk about the connections. I'm so excited to hear all these updates on your career, man, because so much has happened since the last time we talked.
I've been interviewing people, and I've been interviewing people that are connecting me with new people. I've interviewed so many people that work for ESPN and work for Q13 Fox and work for, you know, different organizations. Like, so first of all, I got to meet Brock Heward when we were, you know, in the booth together. I got to get a picture with him. Maurice Jones-Drew was in the press box yesterday. He went to UCLA. I got to interview one-on-one Kyle Bonagura and Adam Rittenberg. Bonagura went to Wazoo. Rittenberg did not, but both of them work for ESPN. They write pieces that are on the front page like all the time. It's super awesome. They wrote a bunch of pieces on Rolovich, the Wazoo head coach that just got fired for not getting vaccinated and all that stuff. And so that's kind of where that connection came from. And also about Paul Wolf, Wazoo head coach a while back, that, you know, his mother disappeared at a young age, and they wrote a huge piece on that. That was all over the front page of ESPN. So I got to interview them about that when they visited and stuff. And Cindy Brunson, who went through Wazoo, went through Cable 8, the program that I'm the president for, the TV station at Washington State University. And then she made it onto ESPN. I remember she was telling me about how, like, when she had her first air break on ESPN, and, you know, Stuart Scott and, you know, a whole bunch of other famous names, Mike Tirico, were reaching out to her and just saying, like, congratulations, you did spectacular, you know, and that kind of feeling. She's now on the Pac-12 network, calling basketball games, women and men's. So that's super cool. And then some of the names that you might be a little bit more familiar with that I've been able to interview, Michelle Lutka, Q13. Oh, yeah. She went to the Super Bowl and all that stuff. And then Michael Sean Dugars, that was a fun one. And he's one of the, I think he covers them for The Athletic. He's always in the press conferences asking questions to Pete and DK and all that stuff. And it was really cool getting his insight about asking good interview questions. So these are just some of the names of the people I've been able to interview through the wonderful connections at Wazoo. And it's been an adventure for sure.
No, that's awesome. So happy for you, man, with the way everything's going. So, well, I'm glad, even though we haven't been able to connect that much so far this year. Somebody asked in the chat, Joey Del Rosario, why haven't you done the roundtable this year? Well, a lot of it's just been schedule-wise. Last year was so different because my kids weren't playing volleyball. Volleyball season got pushed back. Had all kinds of time because everybody's locked down. We had no games to go to. And this year has been totally different because I've been doing the PA announcing for my girls' home games, and of course I've been going to every single one of their games, and so it's been a very just busy year, and the season just ended, not even a couple weeks ago. Been doing a lot of traveling for work, so it's been hard to just get everybody on the same page, because you're busy, everybody's busy, the coach is busy, and it's hard to get everyone together. So hopefully we can do it here before the season's over. But I'm glad to at least get a little bit here and there to, at some point we are going to talk about the Seahawks here. So
can we real quick? You're on TV now, man. I know you posted that here, but I love just sitting there watching the Seahawks game and seeing your advertisement with Tutupu, and you're running out of the gate. Oh my gosh, on Seahawks Field. That is so spectacular.
Oh yeah, a lot of people have seen that. So if you haven't seen the commercial, you can see it on it's on my YouTube channel, as well as if you're in local, you would have seen it, I'm sure, by now. They played it a lot during the Mariners games, and they've been playing it with the Seahawks games. It's a Washington State lottery commercial, and they called me before the season started, and they said, hey, we're looking for a handful of recognizable fans, and your name came up. Would you like to be part of this Washington State lottery commercial, and we'll pay you to be in it? It's like, oh, what? Okay. So I was like, of course, I'd love to do it. So, got through all the paperwork and stuff like that, had a wardrobe fitting. This was a big production. This is huge. This isn't like some big old baby NORBFAM production. This was huge. This is a huge crew, director out of New York, production crew out of LA, local crew, but a lot of people from out of town. But we spent the afternoon shooting for me in front of a house in Ballard, which is just a little bit west of Seattle, and just did my little scene where I'm painting it up and everything and taking out the garbage and all depressed. It's supposed to be like us before the season started, and then we returned to the stadium, and then Lofa Tutupu was getting everybody jacked up, and then the big finale was running out of the tunnel behind Lofa Tutupu with the smoke and everything like that. So if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. So we spent the first part of the day in Ballard, and then we went to the stadium, and I was like, man, what? We get to run out of the stadium? How cool is that? I never thought that would be in my list of things I'd get to do. And so, we sat around. There's a lot of waiting. If you've ever been part of a production, if you're on the acting side, you sit around and wait a lot until the crew is ready. The director finally will talk to you and say, okay, we're ready for you guys. Come on out, And so they gave me a good spot because I think they liked my green hair thing, because that was a Washington State lottery invention. They created that headband, and because it says Washington State, lottery on the back. And so they put me, I think, kind of in favorable spot, because I was like right over to Tupu's shoulder. In fact, Blitz got moved aside, and I got moved next to him to be in the spot. So I knew, I was like, oh, I'm going to get on camera for this. And so we got to walk behind him, and then when it came out to run it, the funny thing to this story was, a few years ago, you might have remembered, in 2017, I tore my hamstring doing the Bruno Marsh splits during a performance at my parents' fundraiser. Tore it bad. My leg was all bruised up, and I went to the Tennessee Titans game with crutches and stuff. It was terrible. So ever since then, it's never been the same. If you've ever torn a hamstring, even after it heals, it's never quite the same. You got scar tissue in there, and of course I'm old, so you mix those two things together. It's not a good deal. I have a whole nother respect for guys who have, when they talk about hamstrings now, I go, ooh, okay, I know what you're talking about. So, which DeAndre Hopkins is dealing with a hamstring, so poor guy, but hopefully I'll help the Seahawks tomorrow. But I knew that this was a problem area of my leg, so I'm constantly stretching it, because I know that if I start jumping and running, it's going to start tweaking. So I'm stretching it constantly, knowing we have to run, and I'm telling everybody the story, Mr. and Mrs. Seahawk, about the story about what happened and everything. And so we do several runs out of here, different angles, and it's like, okay, yeah, this is no problem. I'm like one of the fastest guys in this bunch, keeping up with Lofa. So we're all good. We finished all that, and then it's like, okay, just have a few more close-ups, and we should be done. So we're all kind of hanging out again, waiting. Lofa's doing his thing, and then we come in here, we do this little quick huddle thing, and then we're about ready to wrap up, and they go, oh, we actually need 2 more runs out of you guys. Just from camera's gonna be way out at the end, so I need you to run real fast, hard as you can, as far as you can until we tell you to stop. I was like, oh crap, I'm all cooled down now. So I try to stretch real quick. Last second, I'm not loose anymore. And then sure enough, as soon as I took off, boom, first stride, my hammy just goes, and it just tightens up, and I'm like mid-stride going, oh. So I'm running because I don't want to mess up the take, and I certainly don't want to be taken out of the shot. So I keep running, but you can see a visible limp to me as I'm running, because it's just the damn hamstring just tightened up on me. So we had to do it 2 more times. The second one was even worse because it was already, I knew I was messed up. I knew I was effed up after that. So if you watch the show, they actually used the take as we're coming out of the tunnel, and you could see me limping because they used that take. But fortunately, I was still able to run. I still kept up with them because I'm the first one out behind Tutupu. And, so it worked out. But, man, I paid the price. So I was a little sore for the next week and a half or so. Not as bad as the tear. But, like I said, it's more susceptible when that happens. So great thing is they used it. I didn't get edited out, and the commercials aired a ton, so a lot of people have seen it, and it's been fun. It's been fun to see yourself on TV every time that commercial comes on. So it's been a blast, man. So I'm glad you got a chance to see that. So just having a good time with it.
It looks like so much fun, man. Every time I see it, my heart goes crazy.
Well, I appreciate that, man. So, speaking of the Seahawks and running out of the tunnel, we're going to see them run out of the tunnel tomorrow. We'll ring out of the tunnel at 3-6. We got to talk a little bit about what we're seeing out of our team here a little bit halfway through the season. If you guys want to join in, we are going to take a few calls and give you a chance to chime in on some things. So I'm doing the old phone line thing, which some of you guys are already on there waiting. The number's right there, 202-926-1076, and the code is 696-153. Just call in, dial in the code, and I'll pull you in. You can also join the Discord, which I put in the chat. It's discord.gg/Seahawks. If you want to join the stream game day party channel, I'll pull you in right now. We got one in there right now. So we'll get to that in a minute. So stay, just hang on. We'll get to you. We got to do our thing first, though. So, Squabs, we've been talking about all this positive stuff, Wazoo, all our fun, patting ourselves on the back. But let's talk a little bit about what people are really here for, which is to hear some takes on where the Seahawks are at. So first, I just want to ask you is, how do we start this, man? What is wrong with the Seahawks? How have we ended up at this 3-6 spot? What has been the main issue in your mind? What is the biggest problem the Seahawks have going into this game against the Cardinals? What has been the problem? Why are we in last place in the NFC West, in your opinion? Let's start there.
I think Pete Carroll has lost the offense. And I think that is a very difficult statement to make, but it's been a progressive decline every single year since the infamous call in the Super Bowl. And now I'm not pinning everything on Pete Carroll, because this past game, Russell Wilson made a lot of mistakes, and you can tell it's his hand, the pass sailing above Tyler Lockett, the pass where he's made some bad decisions as well. It wasn't just bad throws, right? Because he missed Lockett and he missed DK behind, but also bad decisions of trying to hit Lockett in the end zone and DK in the end zone that both turned into interceptions. So let's make it clear, it's not just on Pete Carroll, but in terms of the offense buying in terms of the offense trusting his philosophy. What is it? 4 games this year we've had more than 100 yards rushing. We're 3-6, and that's not the stat when you think about a Pete Carroll offense, right? If we're not running the football, what are we doing? We haven't been efficient on third down. The majority of the games this year, we've been the worst team on third down. Can you believe, Norb, if I had to ask you how many games this year you think we've won the time of possession?
Oh, I'd say maybe. No, I was going to say the Jaguars game, but I'd say we haven't won it at all yet. I'm just throwing it out there.
We have not won it. Not one game. And
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised.
What are we doing offensively? And Russell Wilson this week in press conference was talking about how a couple of things that kind of disturbed me. So first of all, in terms of time of possession, I like what he said about how it doesn't necessarily dictate things. Like if you're scoring fast, the most important thing is to capitalize on your opportunities. All season long, we've been one of the best teams in the red zone. This past game, we didn't score at all in the red zone, and that was a big problem. But also he said that Pete is the one that dictates when they go for it on 4th down. And that is concerning for me, because we see a team like the Baltimore Ravens, and the energy, no matter what did they have, 13, 14 players on IR at one time in the season, and their coach is trusting in Lamar. You want to go for it? Lamar's like, heck yeah, they go for it. That builds that trust, that builds that relationship, that camaraderie, where sometimes I don't know if Pete trusts Russ. And what Russ said was that only in situations where there's like a timeout or the end of quarter, which is, it often happens where, it's the end of a quarter or the 2-minute warning, and then we'll see the offense come back out, because that's when Russell has a little bit of say. But outside of that, it's Pete Carroll making that call. And so that's one of those things where that concerns me.
So you're saying, basically what you're saying is you want the Seahawks to go for it more. We haven't been going for it enough. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm saying we need to listen to Russell Wilson. And that's what the point is. Because Russell expressed that there are times when we should play great, smart football. But there are also far too many times where it's like 4th and an inch and our defense has been struggling. And, it's situations where we're finally getting momentum and we're going to punt it. And, it just turns the game in terms of momentum. I am saying we should go for it more on 4th down, because more often than we are currently going, Russell Wilson would want to go. And I say we trust in Russell Wilson. That's what it comes down to.
So it's interesting. So you brought up a couple of points. You said basically your first argument right off the bat is that Pete Carroll's lost this offense. And so what you're saying by that is that the team is not buying into his coaching philosophy. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
That they have lost faith in him. Okay, so let's back up on that. So, because that's a very broad statement to say that this is the reason why it's been failing. But you also have to look at it and then go, okay, well, you can say that as an overview, but you got to get down to where, in the X's and O's, what's the proof of that? Because I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm also saying Shane Waldron came in here. They brought him specifically to implement a offensive plan that's supposed to look like what the Rams do, right? Which is a lot of quick passes, short passes, short pass run yards after the catch, and a fast-moving, fast up-tempo. Now, from time to time, I see the up-tempo. We've all seen it, where they go and it's like almost no huddle for a couple of plays. But I've yet to see this semblance of anything that looks like the Rams. Now, again, we see moments of it, but a lot of times it looks like what I've been watching for the past 3 or 4 years. It doesn't look that different from what we've seen. But how is that a failure to buy into what the coaches believe in? It's either not being drawn up from the get-go, or so here's the thing. It's either A, Shane Waldron was supposed to do something. Everybody talked about him being this genius, right? You heard Lockett and Wilson go, "Oh, Shane Waldron's this genius," right? I was like, "Oh, I can't wait to see the genius at work." Well, I've yet to see it, that at least for not more than like one play for like one play, and then we don't see it again. So I'm waiting to see what Shane Waldron's book really looks like, because I don't feel like we've seen it. And if he has, then if he does have a game plan that is supposed to be what it is, well, then two things are happening. Either one, Coach Carroll is overriding that, and he's saying, "No, we're not going to do that, Shane. Let's do this instead." Or Russell Wilson is changing the play that's given, and he's doing something that he wants to do instead. We won't know, because they're not going to tell on each other. Russell's not going to say, "Oh, Pete Carroll keeps doing this, and he's not listening to me." The coach isn't going to throw his coordinator or Russ under the bus, but you'll hear it. You hear like the last game, Pete Carroll went in there saying, "Man, I wish we'd run the ball more. We really should have run the ball more." When I'm thinking, Coach, you're the head coach. You have the Madden controller. So who are you saying to, "I wish we'd run the ball more," when you can say, "We are going to run the ball"? You know what I mean? So again, there's some disconnect there. Where is this just him talking to himself, wishing he'd run the ball more, or is something happening where the plan that they have and the plan that Russ has and the plan that he has isn't quite in sync? So I guess I don't know if I agree with that. They've lost it. I just feel like at some point here, someone's not working together. They're not on the same page. And that's my take, because I don't necessarily see that it's not they don't believe in the system, but somebody's system isn't working. But Shane Waldron is supposed to be part of the system. Russell's supposed to be part of the system. So where's the breakdown? I don't know. I can't say I agree with you putting it all on his shoulders.
I got you. We got answers today. That's what we're here for.
Hey, Steezy's in there commenting. Oh man, I wish he was in here with us. You should have been here with us, man. I think he's working though. So He's got to work.
Yeah, break it down, brother. Appreciate you showing up, though, for real.
Steezy, feed some facts in there, though. Add your comments, Steezy. So that way we feel like you're with us. That way you can talk some sense into this dude. But go ahead, defend. Go ahead, defend.
So a couple of things. First of all, Norb, you are one of the most humble individuals I know. So we should start with that. You're one of the most humble individuals. You rarely take credit for yourself. But Norb, you are on the TV for the Seahawks. You have 47,000 subscribers now. You're very successful. You have a beautiful family. You're PA announcer for their volleyball. All these things, right? You're starting to develop a little bit of an ego. Is that fair? Not like insane, but like you have that self-worth, right? And as you start to become successful, that's only natural, right? Okay. So as you start to look at other people doing the same thing you're doing, Tom Crosby, somebody on YouTube that's a super fan that's creating videos about their channel. You start to look at them and you see them do something that's like nicer or more professional than what you do, and you're like, what makes them better than me? Why are they doing that? I could do that, right? You start to feel that, right?
Sure, naturally, yeah.
Well, that's what Russell Wilson was in the press box during the Super Bowl saying about Tom Brady. When he was looking at Tom Brady with how in an offseason he went to a new organization and he got to pick, I want him, and him. We're going to draft him and we're going to run this offense this way. When they started incorporating his players with his plays, that's when things started to work because everyone was bought into the way of the quarterback. Now, let me tell you exactly why you can tell this year that players are not bought into Pete Carroll. Here are specific examples, right? So when you look at players making plays that are unconventional for them, uncharacteristic. Why is Russell Wilson forcing the ball into the back of the end zone with two defenders and Tyler Lockett's right there? That's not a Russell Wilson throw. When in his career have you seen Russell Wilson make throws like that? When in his career have you seen Russell Wilson force the ball into the end zone on 3rd and 10 when we're about to get points and points equal momentum and it's 3rd down, we're in the red zone, got to capitalize, but he forces it into the end zone to Kevin King? And when have we seen him do things like that? Or when have we seen him overthrow Tyler Lockett by 5 feet in the air? Or when do we see him on inside slant routes? Bad example, but throwing to the outside. See, even on the pick in the Super Bowl, it was too far to the inside, not the outside, and that's what we're seeing with DK Metcalf. Now, on the contrary, let's talk about the receivers. When have we seen our receivers making plays like they have been, dropping passes so consistently? I know DK's always had a dropping problem, but it's never been this bad, and now Tyler Lockett's dropping passes too, and we're seeing our receivers just choke at the point of attack, and it's because they don't have enough trust in the offense to just focus on their job. They're trying to do more. They're trying to create because they don't trust in the offense, and that's part of it.
How does dropping passes have anything to do with Pete Carroll or not buying into the offense? Because if you are getting your number called and your play is to catch the ball, that should be the point where you go, okay, finally, my number is called. I should go catch that ball. Why should that have any effect as to them not executing on their side? Because to me, that makes no sense. That makes no sense on that particular moment. Yeah, Russell Wilson forcing it maybe because he feels like, well, I don't trust the next play we're going to call, so I'm going to try to feed into the end zone. But if there's a slant play to DK Metcalf, he must catch the ball, and I don't care what he thinks of everything else. At that moment, he should be the superstar, and if his ego's big and he thinks, I'm the guy who's going to get this thing going, catch the freaking ball and get the first down.
No, I agree that's what it should be, Nor, but how many times have you been watching a game and you heard they're saying, it's because he was thinking about what he's doing next rather than catching the football. It's because he was thinking about the move he's about to make because he has to create some offense. And it's the same mentality that Russell has when he's forcing it into the end zone. He's trying to do too much.
Okay, now I agree with forcing to do too much. That I agree with. But when you are unable to sustain drives and you're losing that time of possession thing because you know basically it's like 3 and out is right around the corner, so I better make this one count. I can understand forcing that. I agree with the forcing things to happen because it's not working. But again, I'm not connecting that to the blame on Pete Carroll and that it's his fault because the team doesn't believe him anymore. I don't have an alternate solution as to what the problem is. I'll throw out an example of what I don't get, which is we see this, every team does this to us, at least the teams that are successful at beating us. The Steelers did it to us. The Rams do it to us. It's this whole reason why we brought Shane Waldron in. we're supposed to be getting the ball quick out of our hands so that the line we don't have the best pass protecting line in the world. So Russell's got to get rid of that ball fast, right? And the whole idea is that with great tight ends, we got 2 fantastic tight ends, 2 legitimate star receivers, and then some other guys. But between those 4 targets, we should be able to hit somebody and not have to get sacked. Like Ben Roethlisberger. That dude got the ball out of his hands so quick, like a hot potato. It was like, because he was not going to get sacked. We don't play that game, and we're supposed to be playing that. It's supposed to be quick. There's supposed to be a tight end, somebody across 5 yards down the field. You hit the check down. What was Aaron Rodgers doing to us all day long? Screen pass, short passes. They're basically like long handoffs. Why the hell are we not doing that? Who's not letting that happen? Why do we suck at screen passes? We cannot throw a decent screen to save our life, man. Everybody does it to us to get 30 yards. We do it and we lose 5. And it drives me crazy. And I don't know whose fault that is. Maybe that I'll put on Pete Carroll, that we're not practicing enough in practice. But he's lost it? I don't get that. I don't buy the argument. It's an execution thing.
Well, with Shane Waldron, right? You bring in a guy that's never been at this high of a position in his career. He's never been an offensive coordinator, right? That's, to me, that can be a figurehead. That's like saying, like, hey, I can bring him in. I know he's going to do what I say. Kind of like what Jerry Jones does with head coaches in Dallas, right? I want somebody that's going to do what I say because I want to run the show.
Right? Yeah.
And that's what Pete Carroll's doing. He brought in a guy from an offense that respects the run and a guy that needs this position because of what it's doing for his career, right? Coordinators have gone on and got head coaching jobs from Seattle. Not offensive coordinators, but he's trying to change that. It's a guy that has never been on this pedestal. And so because of that, Pete Carroll, who's not only the head coach, but he's the head coach and president of football operations. I think that's his, I got it written down somewhere, but he has more to his title and he has way too much power within this organization. And that's part of the problem is he goes after guys that he think would specifically work because of him and instead of the best guys possible and working around them.
So what you're saying is Shane Waldron really brings nothing to the table. He was just a guy that Pete Carroll could just sort of do what he says.
I don't think it's Shane Waldron's fault, though. I put it on Pete. I think he's not allowing Shane to do the things because you're the one that said it. We haven't seen what the Rams have been doing.
Right. And the players were bragging about how great Shane Waldron's system is, right? Those guys wouldn't make that stuff up for no reason. So there must be some truth to it. So the question is why are we not seeing this brilliance that the players all talked about? That's the big question. That is the big question. Why is that happening? But I contend, since we're just speculating here, right? You're saying it's Pete Carroll not allowing Shane Waldron to do his system. And I'm saying here that Russell Wilson also has the ability to hit the override button, right? When he's down there, he's got a play that was called in. And you all know when you're watching him, and he'll go, kill. So whatever that is, he just said, sorry, Shane, I'm not running that play. I'm going to audible to something else. I'm going to my other play, dude. This is the deep to Tyler Lockett to double coverage in the end zone play. We don't know whose decision that was, right? On that, like that very ill-advised. I mean, that play you keep bringing up about throwing the, we had a field goal in the bag. He throws the interception, triple coverage practically. Bad choice. The one to Tyler Lockett too, deep. He's made that play before. Right, he's hit that miraculous play before, but they had that play covered all the way. They had a deep safety behind him. They had a corner in the front. He was sandwiched between double coverage. That play didn't have a chance unless Tyler Lockett was maybe like a foot taller, and and the ball was thrown maybe just a little bit more perfectly. But he has threaded that needle before, but it didn't work. Now the question is, was that a Russ call? Was that a Pete call? Or was that a Shane Waldron call? It doesn't look like a Shane Waldron system call to me, but it doesn't also seem like a Pete Carroll call. I'm just saying that maybe Russell Wilson also has this. You mentioned egos and stuff. Russell Wilson, we all said we should let the game flow through him. So maybe he's calling the shots at the line of scrimmage and he's making those decisions. He also ultimately decides who he throws to. So he can have a play where there's a guy 5 yards down the field he could easily just check it down to. But maybe he's no, I want more. I'm going for DK. I'm going for Tyler Lockett. And then we never see what would have happened if we just did the five-yard check down, and maybe we get another 1, 2, 3 minutes of of time of possession if he just gets that first down. We're speculating because we don't know what the original play call is and then what it ended up being. And we'll never know because no one's going to rat on each other. But that's really that's why it's fun to speculate, though, because somewhere in there, there's a systematic breakdown. And it's either from the start that Shane Waldron doesn't know what the hell he's doing and he's calling these plays, or it's being short-circuited by somebody else. Either, like you said, could be Pete Carroll or it could be Russell Wilson. Or all three of them are just calling the wrong play and Shane's just not trusting himself. And I know how that is because, like, if I'm playing Madden, I know you might have seen, some of you guys will see my Madden calling. I'm determined to do this. You know, like, I'm always going to go out, I'm going to run the ball, and I'm going to throw a little bit. And then eventually, I get behind, and next thing you know, I'm just calling all pass plays. You know, I just throw the running book, and I should not do it because I know that you get in trouble. That's where you get the interceptions. So I see the parallel, but there's that part of you that maybe Shane Waldron goes, we're losing. We can't get anything on the ground, even though we're 4.1 yards per carry with Alex Collins. But dang it, we got to get yards down the thing. So he just throws out his own playbook and goes into the let's just let Russ chuck it and see what we get, and then he gets sacked, and then it's another 3 and out. Sorry, man. That's a lot. That's a lot of stuff there. But
no, it still fits with the theory, though. I will call it the lost the offense theory, right? Because
unless it's Russell Wilson,
No. But Norb, you're not hearing me, man. You're not, because one of the first things I said was Wilson was making mistakes, and I'm saying the uncharacteristic mistakes are a sign that they don't trust in the play calling because they feel like they have to do something that their play calling cannot get them. If the play calling is on point, you take the easy check down, you trust the next play is going to be a successful play. But if you don't trust that you're going to get a play call next time that you're going to be able to convert the situation, that's when you force it into the end zone.
I don't disagree with you there, but I still don't think that's a Pete Carroll disconnect thing. It's not Pete Carroll's fault per se that the system's not working. It's just not working, so they feel like they got to force it. But why is it not working? It's a chicken and the egg thing, dude. Right?
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So let's go to a call here. Let's go to call. We'll get back to this in a second. But we had Jared. Since we haven't used I think I dust the cobwebs off the phone line because we haven't done this in a while. Jared's been waiting for a while. Let's see if this thing actually works. Jared, you're on with Noah, Squabo Says, and NORBFAM. What's up? Please work. You there? Jared? Oh, great. He's not there. We'll try it in a second. Make sure you're on your phone, dude. All right, let's go to the Discord because I know Coach Mesh has been here this whole time. Coach Mesh, you there?
Yeah. Here.
Oh wait, who am I talking to now? Is this Jared?
Coach Mesh.
Wait, hold on. Okay, hold on. Let me get Jared back in here. Jared, is that you?
Yeah. This is Jared.
Okay, Jared's on. All right, Jared, talk to us.
Man, just watching that last game, it was pretty depressing, man. Just, Wilson wasn't really looking like himself. And, as much as he said it wasn't his finger and stuff, I really do think the finger affected him a lot. I mean, you see Lockett open on one of those 5-yard little hook routes or whatever it was, and he just completely overthrew him 5 feet in the air. And I think there was another one that he had either Lockett or DK where he just, missed him. And, those 2 interceptions in the end zone, it's just something was off with him. And I'm just hoping that we see him turn around this next game against the Cardinals. Maybe the offensive line can do some better blocking against a tough Arizona pass rush. And, hopefully we see more of the run play and set up that play action more. Something Wilson's the best at, especially hitting Lockett, seeing Lockett go down the field more off that play action. I hope to see more of that and, get Collins running a little bit. He's a good running back. He's got potential. I think that sometimes he doesn't see the hole as much. There's been a couple times where I've been watching, I see this giant hole, and he kind of dances around too much in the backfield. He's got to really hit that hole and just run hard and stuff. Those are just a couple flaws I've seen in the offense. And, defense overall playing pretty good the last 2 games, holding Jacksonville to 7 all the way into the fourth quarter, and only holding Green Bay till 17. I mean, it could have been less, but,
They had him at 3 points going into the fourth quarter. They were doing great. The defense was doing great, but the offense wasn't helping them out. Now, Alex Collins was 4.1 yards per carry, if I'm not mistaken, but he only got 11 touches in a 3-point game through 3 quarters. I don't get that. Again, who's to blame on that? But let me ask you something, man, because your observations are correct. I think we all saw the same thing. Your observations are also too simplified here, man. I need you to give me an opinion. You've been listening to me and Squabo going back and forth. He wants to blame the coach, and I say it's more than that. What's your take? Who do you put the blame more on here? Take a side.
I think I'm going to put the blame more on Russell Wilson. He's the one who's seeing the defense and making the audibles and checks there. I think Waldron's calling a good play. I don't really think Pete has too much to do with it. I mean, he'll make decisions, but he's more of a defensive guy. I mean, we all know that. I just think Russell Wilson's making just the wrong audibles and wrong checks. He's, kind of like you guys were saying, he's trying to go too deep. And, you watch Geno when he was in against the Ram game. I'm watching film, and I'm seeing him. He's getting the ball off quicker. He's making smarter decisions, quicker decisions, kind of like how he did back at Virginia Tech. And Wilson's just kind of holding on to the ball too long, and he's just trying to go too deep. He's got to hit that hot route more, and just keep it simple and get some yards, and then we go down the field and at least just get in the red zone or field goal range, because we can't have another scoreless game, man. We at least got to get in field goal range, get a field goal out of this or something, because we got to put points up on the board, because what we saw last week ain't working. I think, though, it's a Russell Wilson thing at the moment, but
okay,
taking the wrong.
All right, Jerry. Well,
he's the one that.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Thanks for the call, man. I appreciate it. And so, apparently, Jared popping in on this seems to put more of the blame taking my side. Well, I'm not really taking sides here, but saying it's not the coach.
That's your side.
I mean, essentially, not taking the side that it's all on the coach. And he's saying that Russ has got something to do with it. And there's definitely, even though he came out to play in record fashion from healing from that finger, we know he wasn't 100%. Because one, he was never under center because they were protecting that finger. That's already a work around a guy who's not 100%. Otherwise, if he was 100%, he would have been under center at least 20% of the time. They took that whole formation out, and then obviously, the throws were affected by that. Like, everyone brings up the whole, he could have thrown it to Yao Ming and he wouldn't have caught that ball. It was so high. So, but outside of that, I mean, he did run the ball. I mean, he ran and didn't slide. He took some hits, so he wasn't like he was playing scared. I think, they were obviously just trying to play it as protective as possible. But nonetheless, they had to make some adjustments. And so hopefully this week, they'll be a little less guarded on that finger, assuming that the finger is not as bad as we think that it is. But great points there, man. Great points. Let's go to one more call here. This time from the Discord. Coach Mesh, Seahawks for life. What you got?
I kind of have an opinion.
I'm sure you do. What would that be?
I think I would also, but I might sound a little bit biased, but I would like to blame it on Russell Wilson's distractions.
Distractions. Okay, what would those distractions be?
Sierra.
I want to hear from him. Don't plant no seeds there. What distractions?
I think endorsements, obviously, children, wife.
It's the children's fault now. Oh my gosh.
But you can't. But I think his eyes are kind of like him looking at him being at 1:00 in the morning and never sleeping. That's how I view it. I view it as if Russell's distraction make him stay up all night, and he doesn't get enough sleep, and he looks like a dragged, not immunized Aaron Rodgers.
Okay, all right. Wow, Coach Mesh, thanks for the call. You can stick around for a little bit. So he's saying it's got nothing to do with Coach Carroll. It's got nothing to do with his finger. In the order he said distractions were endorsements, children, and wife. and then the lack of sleep. Those are the reasons why Russell Wilson is forcing the ball to DK Metcalf in the end zone and throwing into double coverage to Tyler Lockett. It is those things, the endorsements, children, and what. Next time, I'm going to use that.
He's a busy man.
Yeah. Next time I make a major screw up, I'm going to blame it on... Well, I don't have any endorsements. Well, I'll blame my kids, and then I'll blame my wife. Oh man, I'm sorry, I messed up. I got another strike on my channel. I'm going to blame my kids and my wife because it's their fault, and then lack of sleep because of them. But I'm laughing, making fun of it. But there's something to be said about it, right? Because we know how busy he is. He's got a film production company. He's got endorsements. He's got commercials and all that stuff. And is he doing too much? I think a lot of people were thinking that. And a lot of people like to blame Ciara, saying that his wife has this, trying to do her career. She wants to go somewhere where she can be a star and feels that pressure to take it somewhere else and is almost looking for a reason. Somebody in the chat actually said, maybe Russ is, I was almost laughing on this. Where was it? She said, I think, where is it? But she basically said, I think it was Elena. I think, I don't want to blame you inappropriately, but I think she said, what is the possibility that Russell's performing bad on purpose so that so they can trade him from Seattle? I don't think Russ, even if he wanted to, could allow himself to intentionally play poorly with the goal of being, hey, if I screw up a lot, maybe they'll send me off to a team I want to be at. Come on, man. Russell Wilson would never do that. He's not wired to look bad for a better result, right? Who does that, right? I think I'm going to screw up on my job so I can get fired and go to another company I want to work for. Well, everybody is trying to put good stuff on tape because they know they're auditioning all the time for their next job. So you wouldn't want to put a bad performance on that just so you could hopefully get let go by that team. At least I don't think that would be the case. I mean, is that crazy? That'd be crazy, right?
James Harden is like one of the lone exceptions. I know you don't follow the NBA, but like he got really fat when he wanted out of Houston, and then like he goes to the Nets and immediately slims down and starts balling better. I think that's one of the few exceptions, but he's he is a very different mentality than Russell Wilson. We don't talk about James Harden and think work ethic like we do Russell Wilson. So
there's no question about the work ethic. For Russell to even get back on the field, they talk about him working on his finger 19 hours a day. And I'm not surprised because when he had his ankle issue back in 2016, when it got rolled up on and then his knee bending the wrong direction and he was all taped up, he was also, like nonstop working on it. So I don't think the work ethic is an issue. I don't think his will to win is any different. I don't think he's going to try to not win with this team for some other reason. But it goes back to it. The decision-making was concerning. Why was he forcing the ball? And I do agree that it's almost that feeling like I want to get the touchdown because I don't think a field goal is going to be enough. That part I'll agree with you there, that guys are forcing things because they don't think there's going to be enough after this to get it done. Because it's like 10-0 almost feels like an insurmountable amount, at least in going against the Packers in Lambeau. So I've got better get 7 because if we only get 3 here, we don't know if we're going to get in this part of the end zone again. So that part I agree with you. There is a certain lack of faith in, not necessarily in Pete Carroll, but in just the offense as a whole because they've been playing so poorly this whole season.
Well, and if I'm Pete Carroll, right, and I have one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, 2 of the best wide receivers in the NFL, a stalwart left tackle. We have some of the most important things in football. We have all the right positions on offense figured out, right? At least for the most part. Like we're not sitting here and complaining about the personnel. Like that's the problem, at least offensively right now. Why can't you go out and get a bigger name offensive coordinator? Why don't you do that? Well, it's part of the reason because you want to impose your will a little bit. And if you look at, Pete Carroll's resume as well with no first-round Pro Bowler since 2010. From 2013 to 2015, 2017, and 2021 and 22, we haven't had a first-round pick. Rashad Penny, Malik McDowell, LJ Collier, Jermaine Fetty. Those are 4 of our first-round picks since 2010. 2 of them aren't here. 2 of them are on their way out.
That's a whole different issue, man. That's a whole different discussion. That is a problem, a byproduct of some bad decisions or bad luck, whatever you want to call it. But
too much power.
John Schneider and Pete Carroll. And with a little bit of insight from Paul Allen as well. But it wasn't Pete Carroll making all those calls. John Schneider whether you want to say partially to blame or partial to credit, because they did good things. But for the ones that were really bad, those draft picks you mentioned, that's the tandem. It's Pete Carroll's not making all those calls by himself. John Schneider's hugely part of that. And of course, they rely on their scouting team. So maybe it was the scouting guy's fault. They gave him bad intel. They said they should have seen an ATV accident coming. You should not draft Malik McDowell because he's going to get into an ATV accident. I can just tell from his resume, ATV accident coming around the corner. Boom, gone. Waste of a pick.
You raised an excellent point, but Norb, would you agree that the drafting has always not been the problem, right?
The drafting has not been the problem?
Not always been the problem, right? Earlier on in Russell Wilson's career, the drafting was great, right?
We all know that. The drafting has been like an M. Night Shyamalan career. M. Night Shyamalan had a great hit at the beginning, and then he just kind of been living off of his fame of the first one. He made Sixth Sense, and he's just kind of been not as good as that. He's had some better ones and stuff the way, but he's never been as good as that first one. But everyone remembers him as a great director because he had this great first film, right? For you guys who weren't born yet, go watch Sixth Sense. It's a great film. But anyway, M. Night Shyamalan, the director of that. So the drafting by Pete Carroll and John Schneider was so legendary good in the first 3 seasons. 4, maybe, if you include 2010, 11, 12 was the magical one, and then 13. And all those transactions that, they couldn't have gotten a better draft in 2012. I mean, they hit the jackpot on that, and they really got to ride that for a long time. But then bad decisions kind of keep creeping up. And add to that, when you're a playoff team every year, you know that your draft choices are always going to be at the bottom of the barrel, right? You're always going to be picking from the end of the first round, which is almost practically the second round already. You're not getting the top tier talent. So you really got to make those count. So when you're already down the line, which is great because when you're in the playoffs all the time, that's fun. But when you're getting the lower end, that means you got to really make those count. And so when you get Malik McDowell, when you could have had Budda Baker, you could have had Kevin King. There were a bunch of guys that we could have had that would have been having great careers. Malik McDowell was not one of them, but they messed up.
So check it out though. Check it out. This all fits in with my Pete lost the offense thing. It's all the same. And I have to give credit in the chat to Rosalind Smith. First of all, saying Pete Carroll is the ringleader of everything. You got it. You're on to it. This is him. And I also agree with you by saying that's because Paul Allen was alive back then. That part of the reason why the drafting was better because Paul Allen had the power that Pete now is taking over. So that's part of it. But the reason that the drafting was so good in the beginning was because this entire time Pete's had more say than we thought. And when he first started drafting, where did he come from? He came from college. And when he came from college, he had already scouted all the players to go to get them to recruit, to get them to go to USC. So he's gone, talked to their high school coaches, talked to their families, talked to those people, stayed in contact. And he's been so involved for so long. It was just common sense for him at the next level. Like, I already know who can play. I've already studied film. I've already game planned for and against these players. That's why as a guy at USC, a lot of the most successful players he got were from Stanford, Doug Baldwin and Richard Sherman, because you play those guys. And that's why he was able to find them. So this entire time, Pete's had all the power. The difference is now he's out of touch. And the more out of touch he gets, the more players around him are starting to realize that, maybe he's not this guru we thought he was. Maybe he just had a good run.
And I would definitely give you that drafting part. He had more of an advantage in the early time. But, there's a lot of coaches, again, I hate to compare the freaking Patriots just because they're like an unfair comparison to anybody. But obviously, not every team that was successful only had it because their coach / general manager was fresh out of the college game and didn't know what to do after that, right? There have been plenty of teams who have, that's not the only reason you draft well, right? We've just particularly had high draft picks for whatever reason. And again, maybe it's the scouting department. Maybe we got to blame them because you can't be, if you're a professional head coach, you can't be at all the college games. So someone's going to have to be helping you scout. And if you're not getting good scout information and you're making these bad picks, then you can't blame it entirely on the coach. But, again, I think the Malik McDowell was just a freakish thing. I mean, I joke about the ATV thing, but it was nobody sees that coming. That was just, we never got to see what he was going to be because of that whole thing. But that was not something you could go, oh, well, you should have seen this coming, right? Now, we all thought he reached on Rashad Penny. We all thought LJ Collier was like, what? Who? What was the other one you brought up? You brought 4 examples. Jermaine Ifedi. Yeah. And he's actually now with the Bears, isn't he?
And doing trash.
But at least they put him where he deserved to be, which is guard. Did they move him inside a guard and he's not trying to be a tackle? Didn't they move him to guard?
I couldn't tell you.
Anyway, I thought that's what they did. But anyway, so yeah, those examples were bad, and it kills you. But there are a lot of teams who've drafted poorly and they've had to live with their bad choices. But Seattle has had a particularly tough run of being in the playoffs so many years that, unlike the Rams, the 49ers, the Cardinals, all the teams in our division who we're now looking up to, they all had sucky years in this past decade, from 2010 to 2020, right? Every one of those teams had this period where they just sucked big time, right? The Rams sucked big time during that phase. The 49ers were good when we came up at our first Super Bowl, and then they hit that bottom of the barrel for a long time. The Cardinals sucked for a long time. We've never had that sucky period. So we never had that point where we could go get that
obvious pick.
The Bosa guy who can start building things back up, because you didn't have those obvious ones. And we did have that in 2010 when we were the sucky team the year before. We went 4-12 with who was the coach? One and done. Not after Holmgren.
No.
Came from Atlanta.
Pat.
Not
Pat.
Somebody in the chat. You know what I'm talking. I know it. I just can't think of it. But he was there for. He wanted dirt bags.
It's the one-hit one. John Kitna.
No, not John Kitna.
It was. I have all the coaches memorized. And that's
Jim Mora. Thank you, Jim Mora. Jim Mora. Yeah.
You.
Anyway, he was, and then they got Pete Carroll. So we were coming off of a 4-12 season, and then who does he draft? He drafts, I can't remember the order, I think it was Earl Thomas and then Russell Okung. I believe those two, because they had 2 first-round draft picks.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So, again, you benefit from the crappy season before, and you get one of the best safeties in the NFL for a time. And then Russell Okung, I wouldn't put him as like the Walter Jones or anything, but he was pretty solid, right? So those were kind of easy, obvious ones. And right there, you're building around these guys. So we haven't had that. So anyway, again, I'm making some excuses for the fact that we just haven't had the ability to draft the top ones, but we've definitely missed. So, all right, we beat that dead horse for a while. So let me get another call in here from A1 Gamer Tray on the Discord. A1 Gamer Tray, what's up? Hello, you there? You gotta unmute yourself. All right. No? There he is.
What's up, Norb?
What's up? Welcome to the show, man. What you got?
I'm just coming to you and telling you what we need to fix on offense, defense, coaching wise.
Oh, you got the whole thing figured out. Okay, let's hear it.
I'm not gonna go towards the defense part because, like you said, we got everything figured out on defense. We hold the Packers to the 3 points up to the final 7 minutes of the fourth. Hold Jacksonville up to 7 points the whole game. Our defense is solid, but if you go back last year and look at what we was doing on offense, what we was doing, long passes down the field, that was scoring touchdowns. I think it's not Russ who's messing up for us. I want to put Russ in that. It's Pete. I'm going back to coaching wise. It's not Russ. I'm telling you this because how long has Russ been in the NFL? I don't know. Y'all know?
This is his 10th season, isn't it?
10 years.
10 years.
Yep.
All right. A 10-year veteran. I'm not going to compare him with Tom Brady, but Russ is like one of those accurate QBs that basically he competes every year. That's what I'm saying. He competes every year. I would say if you fire Shane Walden, or get I don't know if this is possible. If you could go in a college elite and get a coach out of there, but I think that we should do that.
So you're saying it's not Russell, it's Pete Carroll and the offensive coordinator. That's the problem.
Yes. Yeah.
So you we should.
If you go back and look what we did last year, we was scoring almost every drive on offense. When our defense got a pick, we scored. We can't do that when our defense get a pick this year at all. Like you said, no screen passes. We need to work on that in practice. We got a good running back. Waiting on Chris Carson to turn. Alex Collins is a good fit for the Seahawks for a backup. All we need to do is work on offense. We got everything we need. We planned out on defense, and we should be able to turn this season around. Because if we win the rest of our games, we'll be 10-6. We still make the playoffs.
Actually, if we won the rest of our games, we would be 11-6. So we'd have to go on a 8-game winning streak, and we could finish 11-6 and still have a shot at one of these wild card spots. If we win out, all we gotta do is win 8 games. How hard could that be?
No, if you look at our 8 games, I just checked our schedule. It's not that hard. The hardest team that we got on our schedule is the Cardinals and the Rams. That's it. We got the Lions, the Bears.
Oh my!
Everybody else is easy, but the Cardinals and Rams. We gotta beat the Cardinals and beat the Rams. We'll be good.
Okay, I agree with you when you look at it on paper that way. Where's the schedule? I got it right here. Okay, so yeah, it's easy to say we got it easy, right? So there we go. There's the schedule. Okay, Arizona's coming. I'm not so sure about this, even if Kyler Murray doesn't play, because Colt McCoy beat us last year with the Giants. At Washington, yeah, maybe so. And I know that they just lost their defender. Who's it? Who's the guy? I'm so bad with remembering names on the spot here. You know what I'm talking about? Out for the season. Chase Young, right? Chase Young, is that his name?
Yeah, I know him.
He's out, so that might help. So hopefully, maybe that'll be better. San Francisco, they look. Do you see what they did against the Rams Monday night? Damn, they look really good. Was that a fluke? Was that a fluke? I don't know. Then Houston, yeah, that should be easy. Los Angeles Rams, Chicago, should beat those guys. Detroit should beat those guys at Arizona again. So I see a handful of weak teams on there, but we are the weak team now. We're only better than what the Jets, the Lions, and the Jaguars. If you want to put it in a perspective right now, so I'm just not as confident. Normally in a regular year, I go, oh yeah, that's an easy schedule. Nothing's easy this year, right? We're lucky. The Jaguars played like crap against us, but I wouldn't watch them. The Jaguars are actually they're pretty decent when they are playing well. And for some reason, we just handed it to them on that game. But I'm just saying, it's not as easy as I think it. You want it to believe that it is. I'm just saying, it's not going to be as easy.
No, I'm go back. I forgot which one of y'all said this, but I think we should start listening to our quarterback because I'm gonna go to the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes said he wanted to get Edwards-Helaire. And guess what? They went to draft and picked him up right up. They traded, they picked Pham, they got him. They listened to their quarterback. The Bucs is listening to Tom Brady. The Patriots are listening to Tom Brady. Listen to your star quarterback. Make him comfortable in the pocket. Let him pick the plays that he wants to do, that he knows is going to work. Russell Wilson is a scrambling quarterback.
So you want that? So you're kind of with Squabo. You want the team to let Russ call the shots, and the offense really should flow through Russell, right?
Yeah. Russ is good.
But then what did we bring Shane Waldron in for?
I like this guy. Who's this guy?
A1 is A1 Gamer Trade. But what is your real name?
We brought Shane in for the Rams, especially. Shane was the coach for the Rams. He should know how to beat them, right?
That's what I thought.
Oh, no.
Hasn't worked out yet.
We almost, I'm going to go back to what I said before. Geno is the problem that we lost to the Steelers, the Saints. I might even throw he the reason we lost to the Rams. It's kind of Geno's fault, but it's mostly Shane's fault because on most of our plays this year, all we would do is run the ball. We would barely give the quarterback a chance in the pocket to throw. We just run the ball. I remember, I forgot who he was playing, but we ran the ball on 3rd and 10. I forgot who he was playing. In my head, I'm saying, if you have even Gino, bro, if you have a quarterback that could throw the ball, scramble, which is Rush and Gino, they both could do that. Why are you running the ball on third down? And I'm go with what Noah said. We need to start going back on, like going for it on fourth down, passing on fourth down. I'm gonna say it again. Listen to rest because I'm gonna go back to the Super Bowl against the Patriots.
Squabo, this guy really likes you, man.
It's a mutual feeling.
You have number 24, the beast in the backfield. Could have easily handed him the ball off. Guess what? Super Bowls in the
Yeah, we know that one, man. We'll never live the end of that one down. But yeah, okay, all right. Well, A1 Gamer Trey, I appreciate your call, man. You gave us some things to chew on here.
Norb's like, get out of here.
No. I respect it. And the thing is, it's very reactive because, okay, I'm going to address the fourth down thing. This is a two-headed monster. This is a very a trendy thing because there have been games where if we just kick the field goal. Now, I'm not talking about fourth down when you can't. Well, the field goal is not an option. But let's say there was those games where you could kick the field goal, or you could go for it because you just want to get that extra, right? And then you don't get it, and then you end up missing it to the field goal. And then those games end up where, man, if we just kicked the field goal, we would have been at least tied, or we could have had a 6-point lead if we just kicked in those situations. So there are those times when the field goal, if you do conventional wisdom and play it safe and take the points, those games probably would have turned out differently. But then when your team is struggling like it is right now, and I agree with you, desperate times requires desperate measures. And I think a team that's 3-6 and hanging on for dear life to try to keep this thing alive, I think you got to play things a little bit differently than you do when you're a 8-1 team who's got it all under control. And it's like, just play your game. I do think the philosophy is a little bit different because you kind of you don't have that buffer of like, well, we'll be okay. Kind of like, we were talking about, Kyler Murray's a game time decision. If I'm the coach of the Cardinals, I would probably, if Kyler can go and he's going to be maybe 85, 90% to play tomorrow, or we rest him and he rests this week and then rests next week for the bye and then he's 100% when he comes back, I'd probably say, let's just rest him. Why risk getting him hurt against a sucky Seattle team that we could probably beat without him? Why risk Kyler Murray to injury and mess up the rest of our Super Bowl potential season than just let him be safe? Even if we lose this game, we still got enough of a lead in the NFC West that we can probably be okay. So you handle things a little bit differently. But us, we kind of have to we got to fire our, we're down to we got to fire everything we've got. We can't rest. Maybe if we were, again, 8-1, maybe they would have let Russell Wilson rest a little bit longer just because there's no reason to risk him because you got this buffer. But when you're 3-6 and you are basically one game away from being out of the playoff picture, desperate times require desperate measures. So I kind of am with you that I would like to see Seattle go for it a little bit more aggressively and not be so conservative on third down and fourth down because I think we need that. We kind of need to be a little bit gamble a little bit more because playing it safe just hasn't worked for us. So I'm going to give you that.
It's not even just go for it. It's go for it the way Russ would want, right? We've gone for it on fourth down like we did against the Rams, where it was Alex Collins right at Aaron Donald. Russ,
that was a stupid call. That's a terrible call. I agree with you. Terrible call.
That's obviously something that Russ wouldn't call. And so, that's where, it's a specific example of they don't trust in the play call. Why are we going with that? And then why does Russ feel like he has to stay in that call? Now, I'm not saying Russ is removed from blame. Once again, I'm being critical of Russell Wilson, too. I'm saying he's pressing. I'm saying he's doing things that he should not be doing. He's trying to create offense that isn't there.
So, but going back to that play, hold that thought. So, going back to that play, who called that play? Was it Shane Waldron? Was it Pete Carroll? You're going to say it wasn't Russell. You're saying it wasn't Russell Wilson. Okay, I don't know. But if it's Shane Waldron, he should have a much more exotic package that even if it's a run, but you spread the receivers out, put two tight ends, get them all opened out and have these crossing routes and then hand it off, and you probably got a better chance. And definitely don't run to Aaron Donald's side. Run to the other side if you're going to run somewhere. But again, it just felt like, who called this play? Maybe it was Pete Carroll. But Shane Waldron, where are you in this? And is he just not allowed to be it? Or did he really just call that? We don't know. That's the part where it's easy to say, well, ultimately you just got to blame the head coach. But I don't think just because things all went bad doesn't mean it's the coach's call at that particular moment. Anyway, I had to get that in there. But you were going to say something else.
Well, Norb, you remember before the season, we were talking about what it would take to fire Pete Carroll. And I don't know if you remember, but I was telling you, if we have a terrible season, if we completely miss the playoffs, it's not even close, Jamal Adams isn't working, we don't have a first-round pick, the offense or the team isn't bought in anymore, and we still have all this talent that won the division last year, that's when it's going to be on the table. And so we had someone in the comments section come out and ask, should we fire Pete Carroll? And I tell you, it 100% depends on how the season goes. Because right now, the defense is bought into Pete Carroll. The defense believes in what Pete Carroll is calling. We've had so many opportunities at turnovers, we haven't been able to get our hands on the ball. Maybe that comes down to the pressing thing, but that's more of a lack of a trust in the offense's ability to get points rather than a defense not being able to get stops, because the defense has known they can figure that out. That's Pete Carroll's calling card, right? But I just think that, well, and another thing, a crazy prediction that I have for this week, I think we are going to start to get more turnovers. And I think, how many times have you seen a ball hit Jamal Adams in the face or in the hands or be right there?
Face one time, hands probably at least a couple other times, but
right?
Yeah,
how many times should he have had interceptions?
We
he finally got one.
Yeah, finally got one. Yeah, then he does the old discount double check mockery. Shouldn't have done that. Act like you've been there before, son. Anyway, go ahead.
When it rains, it pours. So now I think we are going to start to get more interceptions. But just big picture, if we have the rest of this year just go to heck and then the Jets get like the 12th overall pick because we traded it for Jamal Adams, I think Seattle could seriously benefit by getting a new voice in the locker room. Not necessarily because Pete is terrible, even though he has been fired twice and he's never been too successful elsewhere. I just think a new voice like a Brian Dable and Eric Bieniemy, a guy who's already cultivated, who has a strong resume, a guy who could focus on the offense and bring in a defensive guy to focus on the defense. And, I just think a change in scheme and in voice could seriously benefit this locker room.
Scott B in the chat has an interesting, and I'm trying to figure out where he's going with this. He says this is his third offensive coordinator and he has the same issues. And I said that earlier, too. I said, we've been having the same problems for the past 4 years, and we've had multiple coordinators, 3 different coordinators over that same time period. So maybe that's evidence to what you're saying. It's like, it doesn't matter who the coordinator is, because ultimately, what hasn't changed? Pete Carroll, Russell Wilson. But which one is it? Because you can't blame the coordinator, because we have changed it 3 times. But we don't know which one it is. Is it Pete Carroll? Or is it Russell Wilson? Until it's kind of like the whole Brady-Belichick thing, right? We all wonder, who's going to get the better of that deal once Brady and Belichick get divorced? Well, the year after, it was clear what happened. Brady goes and wins the Super Bowl, and Belichick doesn't even make the playoffs. But that's the one game. So we don't know what's going to happen long term. Patriots are playing better. Brady, we know how hard it is to win 2 in a row. Will the Buccaneers get back to where they were? I don't know. It's a much tougher NFC division this year, or an NFC conference this year. I've got to say, talking about the screenplay thing, you know what they need to do, Seattle needs to do? I got 2 things. One, they need to have how they have turnover, or they have Tell the Truth Monday and Turnover Tuesday and whatever Wednesday. They need to have Screen Pass Thursday or Screen Pass Wednesday, where all they do is throw screen passes and the defense practices defending them and the offense practices running them. For God's sake, we cannot handle either side of it. We can't defend the screen pass without KJ Wright. God bless him, wish he had him still. We can't defend the screen pass, and we can't throw the screen pass. We suck on both sides of the ball in that thing. And until they address that thing, that is a major thing. Every team is going to continue to do that against us until we can prove that we can stop it. And we've got to somehow develop that. I don't know. That's tough because I know there's a timing thing with the linemen and how they drop and then they move and there's a timing and all that stuff. We've never figured it out. But that's why they need to devote a day for screen passes, at least this season, until they get that fixed. That's number 1. Number 2, in the Green Bay game, Now, here's the thing. Again, the whole deal about, whose fault it is. Green Bay basically was telling Seattle with their formations, we dare you to run the ball. We dare you to throw short, because they were dropping they had two safeties deep and basically like 7 guys in coverage, practically begging us to run the ball or throw it short. That was exactly what they did to us last year when we were cooking, right? We were cooking. And then once we got halfway through the season, what do all the teams do? They figured it out. We are not going to let Russell beat us deep. We're going to drop 2 safeties back there, and we're going to give them everything underneath here. And let's see if you guys can beat us there. And we never figured it out. We didn't figure it out last year, and we haven't figured it out this year. It's been the same problem. They're not using that middle short stuff of the field. Why? Why? You're saying it's Pete Carroll, and yet they brought Shane Waldron in to address that, and it hasn't happened.
Check this out. I got you, man. We got answers today, man. We got answers. So
yeah, but your answer is always Pete Carroll's the problem. That's your answer to all this stuff. I've yet to hear a solution that solves now. Okay, because they're not going to fire Pete Carroll right now. Maybe at the end of the season. They're not going to fire Shane Waldron either. So they got to make it work between these 3 players we keep talking about. It's Pete Carroll, Shane Waldron, and Russell Wilson. The 3 of them have got to figure out if they want to have a chance of having some chance sneaking into the playoffs. They've got to fix this now because it's a glaring thing. What can we do now? I don't want to hear about what we can do next year. I want to hear what can we do now before the season's over. Go ahead. Tell me something.
Okay. What we need to do now, first of all, I agree with you about the screen pass day. I think the reason so far that there isn't a screen pass day is because Saturday and Sunday are already taken. So
screen pass Saturday, that would be great, right?
They don't practice on those days, so they couldn't, and that's the problem.
And there's no other day of the week with an S, so it doesn't work. That's the problem.
Agreed. I agree with you 100% there. But in terms of something that we could do right now, that's really difficult considering my entire argument is based off of saying that the locker room is lost in terms of offensively and Pete Carroll, and the defense doesn't trust in the offense and Pete Carroll. And so that's just kind of sitting there. If there's something that I could say that we could do right now, I would say all the players need to go Bill Belichick on us and just simply do your job, because I don't think this offense is the worst in the league like we've been performing, and that we're performing like it because we are doing too much. So like we've said earlier, right? DK's been dropping it. Lockett's been dropping it. You remember that game a couple years back at Arizona? Lockett had 3 touchdowns in that game. He went crazy. Well, I don't know if you recall, but that game, the opening drive, we attacked Lockett. We targeted Lockett. And one of my biggest keys to every single game this year has been on 3rd downs. We need to stop going to DK and start going to Lockett, because he's our sure-handed receiver. We need to get him involved early, not DK. And that's something that I've transitioned from last year. Remember last year, I was like, we need to get DK involved early. But the thing is, we need to get Lockett involved early because he's always going to have sure hands. DK can make an explosive play late.
Now, does the defense know that, though? Are they keying on Lockett, knowing that that's the guy they're going to probably go to and try to force them to go to other receivers or tight ends?
Well, that's the thing, is that he's one of those wide receiver ones that he's a possession receiver. All we have to do is get him the ball. That's literally it. And there are ways to do that. If that is your mission, you will do that. Devontae Adams consistently gets the ball. When Antonio Brown's playing with Tom Brady, that's when Tom Brady's at his best. He consistently gets Antonio Brown and Rob Gronkowski the ball because that's his mission. Doesn't matter who's covering him. And so that's kind of what it is with Lockett. We just have to get him the ball early, because late in games he's dropping passes, because early in games he hasn't got his rhythm. And then DK, he's starting to become a lost cause in terms of the dropping passes. Like I'm like, we can't give him a top wide receiver contract right now, because nobody that drops as many passes as he has deserves that. And that's been a significant problem. But I think once Tyler starts bringing those in, DK doesn't have to worry about it as much, because it's all about starting off strong, right? We get Tyler involved early, that sets up shorter situations. So DK's not thinking about what he has to do after the catch. Instead, he's always thinking about making the catch. And it's little things like that where if we stop pressing so much, there are things, Russell Wilson, don't force it into the end zone. DK Metcalf, focus on making the catch and holding on to the football.
I agree with you that there is definitely an issue of pressing. And you mentioned about the do your job thing, the Belichick way. That is so true. And I think the defense has gotten there to where a lot of times there was this lack of trust issue where if you feel like, I don't think that guy's going to make the play, I better go in there and help. Well, then you're not doing your job. You're trying to do someone else's job, and then you leave something else open that you're not covering for. So they seem to be working that stuff out. Offensively, yeah, and you start pressing, that's when you start giving up an automatic field goal because you're trying to force the ball into somebody who's not even open, or you're going for the long ball because you just don't feel like you can get enough if you just go with the small little yardage and dinks and dunks and stuff like that. We haven't talked, I'm surprised that we haven't talked about the offensive line here. Dwayne Brown has not been good. He has not been good this year, and now I kind of understand why they didn't extend him. You know, they made it enough that they could keep him here, but you know, sadly, he's been responsible for some of those sacks and some of those plays that have been, you know, negative plays. And I've been a big fan of his for a while, but you know, we definitely see the negative situation there that he has not. He's starting to show his age a little bit. The offensive line used to be the. It's funny because we're blaming all these things. Pete Carroll, is it Pete Carroll, Shane Waldron, or you know, Russell Wilson? But there's an offensive line component. The screen pass has to have the offensive line who knows how to run it. They've got to do their job because if they don't protect, if they don't run block, nothing else happens here as well. I'm a little disappointed with how the offensive line has played just because I think I was expecting that it would be much better than it had performed. But it's certainly not the main reason. Again, I just feel like, again, what is missing it to where take what the defense gives you. That's what I'm hoping tomorrow they will do. That offense will take what they give you. If they're going to give you 5 yards, well, just take the 5 yards. You know, if it's third down, if it's 2nd and 5, just get 5. But don't feel like you got to get 15. You know what I mean? Just keep the ball going. Keep the drive going and get some first downs. I just think the rhythm would just get going. And I feel like the belief in themselves. I don't think it's a lack of belief in Pete Carroll. I do believe it's a lack of belief. I think it's a lack of belief in themselves because if you just can't get going and you feel like another 3 and out, another 3 and out, another negative play to start off the drive. Now it's 2nd and 15 instead of 2nd and 5. You then start pressing. Everybody's pressing. The quarterback's pressing. The receivers are pressing. The running back's pressing. The play callers, even the coaches are pressing because they can't run their nice simple plays because it's a difficult down and distance. But it starts with, I think, it's just taking the small stuff and don't go for the home run. Take what the defense gives you. And I think Arizona's going to come out here, do the same thing that everybody else is doing. They're going to have 2 safeties deep. They're going to beg us to try to run and beat their front 4 and give us the short stuff. And if they don't take that, we're going to find ourselves in the same situation of 3rd and longs with forced passes down the field and play right into the hands of the secondary of the Cardinals, and they're going to eat us alive. We just can't repeat that pattern, in my opinion, to get that win tomorrow.
Well, and I think we got to flip the script. I think if we take our mentality that we have in the passing game where we're trying too hard and we just apply it to the running game, I think we'll be a lot more successful. And take our running game mentality where, you know, we see so many times our run game is just dead. Right? We're fine with a 0-yard gain. That's the mentality we need with the passing game. But with the passing game, all we ever want to do is do it all because we believe that that's all that we have, right? Because we have no running game. Well, if you remember the second half of the Pittsburgh game, first half we get shut out. It's horrible. Second half we come out, pads low, we're hitting. We are driving down the field.
They're running.
Because it's all we had, which is the same mentality that we have about the pass. So if we take that mentality and every time we run, we treat it as if that is the only way we're going to move the ball down the field. And we take the pass and instead of treating it like it's the only thing we can do, we treat it like, okay, let's just stay alive. Then the mentality is flipped, and that's how we could be successful.
I agree. I'd like to see more runs, but we got to be productive on the run game. We can't have these negative plays, and so again, the Lions they've got to block. because you can't run if you don't have blocking up front. Let's go to the phone lines again here. Let's go to, well, it says it's restricted, so I don't know who this is, but we're going to find out in a second. Whoever you are on the phone line, are you there? You still there? Person on the phone line whose name I don't know what it is. Going once, going twice. Hello. Okay, I guess you're not there. We'll try this again. Let's go to the Discord again. This time to, who is this? Where'd he go? AEW 7838. Sounds like a character out of Star Wars. Okay, who's this? AEW 7838. You're on. Hello? I can hear something. He must have walked away to the bathroom or something. Where are these people? Let's go to Coach Mesh because he wants to say something else. Coach Mesh. Coach Mesh, you there? All these people call in and then they're not there on their lines. All right. Well,
I think he brought it with him to the bathroom.
He went to the bathroom. Anyway, man. Oh, we got another call here. Let's see if this person's ready to talk. This is Jake, 2012 graduate. All right, he puts his name and his graduating year in there. Jake, 2012 graduate. You're on.
What's up?
Who's this? What's your name?
Jacob.
What? Oh, that's a Jake. Oh, yeah, okay, Jacob. Jacob, what you got, man?
Not much. Just seeing what you guys are saying. I kind of agree with both your points. It's going to be hard to see what's going to go on in the off season if Wilson does go or if Carroll goes. It's going to be hit and miss with either one of them.
You're already talking about somebody being gone. So I guess first we got to. I guess it depends on how things go, but we're gonna project ahead a little bit here. Let me ask you something. Do you think that Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll will both be back here next year? Jake.
Put
you on the
that's
spot.
hard to say. That depends on really how the season goes. In my opinion, I mean, if it goes bad, I feel like they could just blow it all up. I feel like they both could be gone. I mean, but if Wilson plays like this, I don't know if anybody's even going to want him.
Oh, somebody will want him. Trust me. Somebody's going to want Russell Wilson. There are teams who have been crawling through the desert looking for a sip of water in the form of a quarterback. If there's a Russell Wilson to this dying man in the desert going, water, QB, Russell Wilson, they will take him in a heartbeat. I can name at least a handful of teams that have been looking forever. Yeah, Giants, I can think of Jets, the Lions, Broncos.
Miami.
I think Bears finally found their quarterback. Miami.
Houston
anyway, he'll go somewhere. But yeah, I guess I'm kind of forced you to make a guess here. One, none, or both. Which ones will be back next season? We don't know yet. Obviously.
I think Wilson will be back. I don't know. I don't see him really leaving. If they finish the season off all right, I think he'll come back. But if it gets any worse than this, I don't feel like he should even try anymore with the Seahawks. Like, it's just with the O-line and moving Lewis to the left and then keeping Jackson there. Like, Jackson's a good piece to keep on that line, and Brown, I don't know what the heck's going on with him. But I don't know. There's going to be a lot of pieces I don't know if Wilson's going to want to mess with anymore.
The funny thing is really Russ doesn't have the choice. Really doesn't have the power to decide next year because he's actually under contract for another year. Seattle is really the ones with the power in the sense, well, he's got no trade clause, so he has to agree to a trade. But it's if Russell wants out, Seattle has to also want him out, and they would both have to agree that let's let you go next year while you still have value that we can save money on the cap by letting you go next year. And you can also pick a team. So they almost, right? Am I right about the Squabo? Don't they kind of mutually have to agree that if it's going to change next year, they both have to agree that this is for the better, that Russ wants to be out and the Seahawks want him out? Because if the Seahawks want to keep him, Russ can't go out unless he forces his way out, right? Because he technically is under contract through next year.
Well, and I think
he's
it's
not a
more
free agent
likely
next year.
I definitely agree with you. I think it's just more likely that Russell will essentially say, like, I'm thinking about leaving in order to coerce or to convince the management to get rid of the reason that he's thinking about leaving, Pete Carroll.
So what you're saying is that Russ would play the card of, well, it's either Pete or I'm out.
Bingo.
That's what you feel is ultimately,
because otherwise he would become a villain. If he forces his way out, he's a villain. But if he says, hey, look, I'm trying to work with you guys, I'm trying to stay here, but this guy's ridiculous.
And
everyone else is bought in.
And that's how bad you think the relationship is.
I think that's far more likely than the alternative of him forcing his way out. Because I agree with you. It would take both parties agreeing that it's for the best, and I don't think Pete would do that.
Interesting. All right, Jake. So what does Seattle need to do? I mean, we still have a shred of hope here, right? We're not out yet. We're 3-6, but the season's not over.
This conference is terrible right now. The Falcons, just the Panthers are now getting going. There's a good opportunity that they could still make it, but it's like, do we want to see this team in the playoffs, like getting blown out the first game of the playoffs or even the second? Like it's always seems like it's something, they make it and then something happens and it just looks really bad, and then we kind of look at the offseason like, okay, we need to fix this, we fix it, and it still isn't fixed. So it's like it's hard to even say like, yeah, they can make it, but it's like it's even worth even being excited about. Like it's just hard to comprehend everything that's going on this year, last year, and everything else.
What's funny is I'll do respect Jake. Jake, 2012 graduate. Does that mean you graduated from high school or graduated from college in 2012? What does that mean?
From high school.
You're 2012. Oh, Fife high school graduate. Okay. Yep. All right. So it's funny because when I hear that type of message, it so reminds me of the fan base that is of the 2010 decade, because we are so spoiled now that making the playoffs and not going to the Super Bowl is like this. Man, the Seahawks, I'm just really tired of seeing them making the playoffs and being one and done, or just only getting to the divisional round, because that's just really not enough. It is. I think we forget how bad the Seahawks were for a long time before this, and we didn't even sniff the playoffs for a majority of years. And then two, how difficult it is to get into the playoffs, right? We almost take it for granted that we are supposed to be in the playoffs every year, and if we don't go deep in the playoffs, well, something's wrong. We got to fire somebody, right? We've seen teams that, like, look at the Jets and the Lions and teams like this who they haven't even had a sniff. Well, no, actually, the Lions did make the playoffs a few years ago, but like the Jets, teams that haven't even gotten close to it, right? And they would kill for an appearance in the playoffs, even just one. But for us, it's like, it's not good enough just to make the playoffs. Like, we have to at least make it to the NFC Championship game, or else it's like a failure, right? The season's a failure if we don't get that far. But it's just, I guess we have to have perspective, because I think this is just such a new experience as a fan of the last 10 years of this team. This is the worst season we've had in terms of win-loss. We've never been this bad before. And it kind of just puts you in perspective how good we've had it, because when you start to feel like, man, we're 3-6, we're in last place. Oh man, this is like the end of the world. Fire everybody, because we are just terrible. One bad season and we're ready to fire and throw everybody out, because this is just not acceptable. So I know we're all frustrated. We're all looking for something positive, but I will offer this as a bit of hope, just to turn the tone around. I don't think we're that far off from being a great team. All right. I think our defense, what we did against the Packers, was nothing short of outstanding. If we'd won that game, we would have been patting the defense on the back, saying, man, what an amazing performance by that Seattle defense, shutting down Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams, holding them to 3 points through the fourth quarter. And then Seattle just took over, started running the ball, won the time of possession of the fourth quarter, and they won that game 14-3. I mean, it could have been that if the offense could have put something together, right? But that's what was missing. And the defense ran out of gas. But I still think that the offense is not that far away. I believe we have the talent. I think we've got the quarterback. I still believe in Russell Wilson as much as I kind of sounds like I'm blaming Russell Wilson. I'm not saying I don't like Russell Wilson. I still love him to death as my quarterback, and I want him to stay in Seattle. So don't read me wrong there. I want him to stay. I still believe in Pete Carroll, and I just think it's a little bit of a tweak of the whole picture on the coaching and the play calling. And like you said, everybody kind of buying in together, because I feel like we have the talent, we have the coaching, we have the quarterback, and we should have the coaching brains between Waldron and Pete, and then Russ's own contributions, that I think we have the potential to suddenly be great, and to go from what feels like crap right now to suddenly being like, wow, where did this come from? I think it's there, and we can see it. They just have to let it happen. And what's going to make that happen, I don't know what the key is. But you know when you feel like you've got all the pieces? It's like you have a puzzle. It's like the puzzle's there. And you're stuck because you can't, I'm trying to put this windmill puzzle together, but I can't figure out what piece goes right here. And everything's stuck around here. And then you find it, and all of a sudden, so this goes here. That goes, there it is. We just needed to put that piece right here. Everything's working. I don't think we're that far off. It's not like a hopeless team with no talent, no quarterback. The whole team just sucks. It's not that. I don't think we're that far off. Will it turn around tomorrow? I can't say that because haven't seen it turn around yet, but it could turn around tomorrow, and they could suddenly go on this run offensively. And I think the defense is already getting there like it did last year. It's just a matter of can the offense pull it together. I think they have the potential to, and it could start tomorrow. You can talk now.
I was gonna say, I don't think even if we get rid of Pete, wouldn't they have to bring in a new offensive coordinator too? Because a lot of the coaches want to bring in their own guys, and I don't know if they would want to deal with this.
I'm sure if they fired Pete Carroll, they might clean the entire house out because the defense coordinator, that's Pete's guy. Shane Waldron, he's easily dispensable if they get rid of the whole thing. But whoever would decide to blow it up, that's going to be the only person higher than Pete Carroll is John Schneider. Is John Schneider? Is he above Pete Carroll, or is Pete Carroll's above John Schneider? So the only one who's going to fire Pete Carroll is the owner, Jody Allen. She's the only one who would have to make that call.
Bingo, and that's the problem.
And would Jody Allen do that? Well, they talk about in the press conferences that Jody Allen actually does communicate with them on occasion, but she's clearly not she's still Dallas Cowboys owner, where she's in the spotlight talking about the team. And really, when you think about it, we've always admired the fact that one of the things that was great about Paul Allen was that he just kept his nose out of things. He wasn't one of those owners who was trying to hey, maybe you should do this, and trying to act like he knows how to run a team when he really hires the people to run the team. I think we all admired the fact that he kept his distance from it and let them just do their thing. But now it's to a point here where things are rough, and now the questions are being asked.
I mean, who's the coach in Texas that had the Texans that had all the power, and now he's gone?
Right. Well, because we also had it was more than just losing. We had a culture. They had a culture of very negative stuff going on in there that led to that firing as well. We don't have that. That's the one thing, right? We don't have an off the field issue when it comes to Pete Carroll. That part's fine.
It's very rare.
It's the winning part.
It's Bill O'Brien. Thank you. It's just very rare that someone has this much power and it turns out to be a good thing. Now, if we get to the end of this year and we go on a run and we go on to make the playoffs, let me be clear. I say we keep Pete Carroll because clearly we figured something out. Clearly he's bought back into the offense and clearly things are better. But if we go through this year and it looks like it has been looking, we keep losing pretty much every game that's close or against even a good team. If Chicago or Detroit beats us, maybe even if Washington beats us, I'm at the point Pete Carroll got to go. And it's because of the fact that as a whole, we're not bought in. I think we're bought into his defensive philosophy. at least to a certain extent. But even the defense in that locker room understands and sees the frustration with the offense in the locker room. Now, I think Shane Waldron, we talked about the biggest difference that he was going to bring. And we talked about all those concepts. We haven't seen those concepts. I say it's because Pete's not allowing that much. But also, we talked about how Shane Waldron was going to have a positive impact on DK. And how with the new hair color, with the light blue and staying cool and calm all year, DK is going to be able to not get in fights and not get ejected, and he's going to avoid the drama. And Shane Waldron's another guy who has the same attitude as Russell Wilson, and that's why Wilson's always talking good about Shane. But then when they ask him, why don't you go for it on fourth down? It's not a Shane decision. It's a Pete. So whenever it's an important decision where everything's on the line, it's up to Pete. Now, if we sit here and we can see the offense is starting to get lost, what do you think the defense in the same locker room is seeing? And that's when they start pressing, trying to force turnovers or thinking about what they're going to do after they get a turnover rather than getting the turnover.
Well, and then there's more to that formula. I mean, those are good points. But, of course, if Pete Carroll ultimately decides if we're going for it or not, which is not a surprise from the head coach standpoint, I would think that most fourth down decisions are decided by the head coach. I don't think the head coach goes, unless he talks, like you quoted that example of Lamar Jackson, but the head coach is talking to him, they're evaluating, but so it's the head coach. I wouldn't expect the offensive coordinator to be the one that decides. I think the head coach says, let's go for it, and then they have to figure out what are they going to do. That's one is, do you go for it? And then two, more importantly, is what play do you run? Like I said, that example, that fourth down play was ridiculous, a dumb play to run. But, that I don't think that's a surprise that Pete Carroll would be the one to decide that. But you're right, too. On the defensive side, the defense can get frustrated with the offense. And that whole big picture of the defense is going, man, we are busting our tail out here twice as much time as you guys are, and we're holding up our end of the bargain, and you guys aren't doing jack squat. So they would get frustrated. Actually, the defense would get frustrated with the offense. But let's see what other callers have to say here. We got Scott on the line. Scott, are you there?
Yes, I am. I wanted to kind of, we were talking, when I called in, we were talking about the future of the Seahawks, and that got me looking at the 2022 free agents, which I don't think we're going to be too happy with. Dwayne Brown, Ethan Posick, and Brandon Shell, all three starters on the O-line, free agents after this season. Quandre Diggs, Gerald Everett and Will Dissly, Al Woods, Alex Collins, Rashad Penny, Kyle Fuller, Rasheem Green, DJ Reed, Jamarco Jones. That's about the entire O line that's about to be going into free agency. What's going to happen there?
That's a good question. There's a few guys on that list that I have no problem saying goodbye to, Rashad Penny. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it's tough with and that's why I say I was disappointed in the offensive line, because I felt finally like, hey, we got some continuity, right? We got Damian Lewis is in there. Brandon Shell came back. Ethan Posick, I thought was going to be the guy, and they had to kind of switch him back and forth. And then we had Dwayne Brown. So we had four guys who had already been playing together. The only new one in there was basically Gabe Jackson, who they got from the Raiders. So I did expect more from there. But yeah, you're right. There's gonna every team has that. There's always going to be free agents that they're going to have to deal with, and obviously they can't sign everybody. That's just the nature of the beast. But yeah, I mean, that's a whole other analysis of how do you take every free agent that you just listed. What's the top priority? Which guys do you want to see get paid and kept here? For me, Quandre Diggs, I feel like they got to find a way to keep him, because he's been balling.
Please.
Right? Anyone disagree? That guy has been playing like he wants a contract. That dude he's hitting it. He's got the interceptions. He's been great. I got no issues with Quandre Diggs. He's been
and Rasheem Green.
And Rasheem Green.
But what happens when Seattle's not this free agent destination anymore and no one wants to stay? He's not going to want to stay if Russ is gone, if Pete's gone, and it's rebuilding. What's the incentive? Money? He's got all the money in the world.
Well, who says they're rebuilding? Who says they're rebuilding, though?
Russ stays, Pete's gone, Brian Dable or Eric Bieniemy head coach. I think that's a hot target.
I don't think it's a full rebuild unless Russell Wilson goes. I don't know what you guys call a rebuild, but a rebuild would be either Pete Carroll and the entire coaching staff goes, but more than that, if Russell Wilson goes. That's your true rebuild. It's a rebuild based on one player, and that's Russell Wilson. If they lose Russell Wilson, we are officially in rebuild mode. As long as Russell Wilson's still here, I still think they're not. But you're constantly retooling the team anyway, because you always have players who they're not going to keep them all, but you got to prioritize who you're going to keep. I'm concerned with you as well. How do you create a great offensive line without a first pick in the draft, and with more than half of them going to free agency? Who are you going to pick? Who are you going to re-sign, and who you're not? It's pretty clear to me that Dwayne Brown's not the long-term solution. I think either of those centers could be kept at a pretty relatively cheap bargain. I don't think Ethan Posick is going to be demanding huge money. They haven't been that great for one reason.
Ethan Posick doesn't want to sit around and get bullied by Aaron Donald for another couple of years.
Well,
he's had enough.
Yeah, but ultimately, they want to get paid by somebody, and they would rather play in a system that they're familiar with. And if they feel the connection with the team, they want to stay and the money's there, I think that they would stay. He's not going to be this high demand guy.
If all those O linemen walk, the only linemen on the roster is Stone Forsythe, Jake Curhan, and Dakota Shepley. Those are the only three that are going to be under contract for 2022 as of right now.
Yeah. That's a little scary situation.
Good thing we have more draft picks.
Yeah, we do have more draft picks.
And we finally nailed one with Trey Brown.
Trey Brown is great. Yeah, that's the positives. We do have guys who worked out. And I feel like Jordan Brooks, he's coming around.
Good.
He's coming around. And again, I feel like I was really complaining about him in the beginning, but I feel like he's been playing better. He's definitely been playing better.
And now remember when I was telling you to keep KJ? Now you remember that when I was saying...
I was with you, man. I wanted to keep KJ too. He was just sitting out there, sitting on his couch, eating Cheetos, waiting for the call, and they didn't pull the trigger on it. But
well, that was our screen pass defender.
I know.
And now Jordan Brooks talking about he needs to go. So, okay, we agreed on that one. But there were people talking about KJ or what was it, Dunlap? Was it KJ or Dunlap? And I who was it? It was KJ or somebody.
What do you mean, KJ or Dunlap?
We kept saying like if we could bring back KJ or Dunlap or KJ.
Oh, you mean like if we had to have
Sherman.
one or the other, or like these are the guys who had to come back?
If we had to have one or the other, who was the priority?
Oh, because if we couldn't have both, which one would you choose?
And I'm pretty sure I said KJ.
But why would we be decided between him and why would it be choice between him and Dunlap?
It might have been him and Sherman. Well, because with Dunlap we had to re-sign him and go through that thing.
Yeah.
But it might have been him and Sherman. I just remember saying like, KJ should have been more of a priority.
Right. I'll have to go back to the records and look that up, what we were debating about. But I agree. We're feeling it. I don't think anybody's feeling like they were fine, that we were better off without KJ. Clearly, we were missing that. We're still missing that. That's why we need to have Screen Pass Tuesday, man. Oh, no, wait, that's their day off. Screen Pass Wednesday. Screen Pass Wednesday. That's all they do is work on screen passes all day long.
They need Screen Week if they're going to be playing like this.
Yeah. That's really been their weakness, man. I think they get destroyed more on screen passes than anything. They're actually a bit better. Like, one of my keys to the game, I had 3 keys to the game last week. My first one was win the time of possession. That wasn't going to happen. The second one
40
was
40 to 20.
Yeah, it was almost double. And then the other one was keep Davante Adams to less than two or less touchdowns. They did that, so they did that pretty well. Davante Adams really didn't have much of a game against them. He had a few good catches, but he was not the problem. The running backs, they were the problem on the ground and through the air. So, they got to defend that. And until they do, the teams are just going to keep salivating at the opportunity to do that. Hey, man, I appreciate the call, man. Thanks for joining the show. I'm going to bring... Hey, we got Daniel here. My sponsor, Daniel Dovinh, is here in voice. What's up, man? You're still alive.
What's up, Norb? What's up, Squabo? Good to see you guys.
Yes, my
Daniel, man.
The sponsor right here, Daniel Dovinh of Dovinh Group and Marketplace Sotheby's. Where you calling from, man? Where you calling from, man?
I'm calling from Kelso, Washington. We're at one of your wonderful long-term subscribers' homes here, and we're doing a dinner and excited to work together. So thank you for the opportunity in connecting us, Norb.
Awesome, man. So how's everything going? How has your weekend been?
You know, it's been going great. I've never met such hardcore Seahawks fans, to be honest with you. They have framed Russell Wilson jersey. They have framed the Super Bowl tickets. They had seat 12 at the Denver-Seattle Super Bowl game, and
wow.
It's just there's incredible memorabilia here. It's I'm blown away.
That's awesome, man. That's great. Well, I'm so happy you guys made the connection, and you're having this fun weekend. Are you guys gonna be watching the game from down there tomorrow?
Are we going to be watching the game, Rachel?
I don't think so.
I mean, how could you not be watching the game?
No, we are going to be watching the game, definitely, but maybe not here. I think we might go out somewhere and watch it.
Oh,
we can't watch you at the same time.
Hey, you're always welcome to watch me. So, but yeah, we're going to be at the game, of course. And for everybody else, if you're new to the channel, I will be live streaming the game as we're watching from the inside of Lumen Field with my dad, Mark Collins, hoping to watch the Seahawks going to win at home.
Yeah. Well, hey, if you guys haven't subscribed yet, definitely subscribe to NORBCAM and Squabo Says, y'all. So thanks again for the partnership, Norb, and I wish you the best. We'll talk soon, brother.
Absolutely. Thanks for calling in, man. It's always good to hear your voice.
Yeah, likewise.
Thanks for
Peace
the
in
love,
the Middle
man.
East. Bye.
All right, man.
Always.
All right. Stay safe. Have a safe trip home so that, we can talk about this game. Hopefully you're talking about a win after you come back. So it's keep your fingers crossed and go Hawks. Have a great rest of your weekend, man. I think he's gone. All right, so there you go. That was great to hear from Daniel, man. That's awesome. So, oh man. Well, you know what? We're talking about tomorrow. I think we gotta get some. I don't even get a sense as to a prediction from you. Keys to the game and prediction. We didn't talk about doing that, but I think we should. What's your keys to the game tomorrow? How are we gonna beat the Cardinals?
3 keys. Number 1, score. And that doesn't just mean in general, okay? That means there are situations where I want us to be aggressive. There are situations where I want us to take the points. We get a turnover in opponent's territory and we go 3 and out, take the points. If we are in opponent's territory on the 30-yard line and it's 4th and 3 and it's 0-0, take the points. If it's 10-3, take the points, because that changes the amount of possessions that the difference is. But if it's you're up by 1 and it's going to change it to a 4-point play and you have an opportunity to go down and get a touchdown and your offense drove you 70 yards to this point, go for it. So I just, for the most part, I want us to score when we get in the red zone. I want us to score when we get in field goal range, and I want us to focus on not forcing it and take the points when we can. Okay. Number 2, we need to win the turnover battle. Now, obviously, that's a thing every single week, but considering we didn't score at all last week, winning the turnover battle is a very crucial thing. Now, I don't know if you knew this, Nor, but heading into last week's game, we were plus 12-point differential. Now, that's one of the best in the league outside of the top teams that, like, out of all the losing teams or out of all the wild card teams, in the NFC, the only other team that had a better one than us was New Orleans. Now, it's changed a little bit because of the Packers lost by 17 points, but we've been in close games.
And some of that's thrown off a little bit because of the thumping we gave to Jacksonville. That also gave us a very high point differential as well. But that kind of balances out with the Green Bay game. But like you said, I think the most frustrating part is that they have been very close, super close, to the point where you scratch your head wondering, how did we not win that game? So you're right. It's closer than it seems.
So score, win the turnover battle, and number 3. This is my Squabo specials key. This is the key of the year. Find Tyler Lockett on 3rd down. He is the go-to. He is the sure-handed. He is the convert, the possession, the trust, the connection, the rollout, the convert, the make it happen. Find Tyler Lockett. I'm sick of a DK drop being the difference between a touchdown and a punt.
I'm with you, man.
Those are my keys. I was talking about it in the chat. My prediction for the game, we're going to lose. The Cardinals beat us at home anyways. Now we suck. Our offense has been horrible. This is one of the best defenses in the NFL.
We beat them last year.
They're going to... I feel like we're going to lose this game.
I know. I predicted the same thing too. But what if Kyler Murray doesn't play tomorrow? Does that change your prediction?
Colt McCoy beat us last year.
With a different team, though.
A worse team. Much worse.
A worse team who had a very good game plan coming in. But
these guys, horrible. Yeah.
Okay. So what score did you have?
I say we're gonna lose, something along the lines of like it's not gonna be too high scoring. I say like 27 to like 18 or 19. It's gonna be weird for us. We're gonna have
27 to 18. Is that what you said?
I'm gonna go 19. 27-19.
That's a weird score. It's hard to get 19.
Yep.
It's
we'll
really
find
hard.
a way.
It's really hard to get 19. You almost have to
We're
throw
gonna miss
safety
a PAT.
in there. Okay, you do that. That would get us there.
Yep.
Okay. Well, you know what? I'm going to take the easy way out, and I'm going to use the same keys I did from last week, because I really think that that's the key to winning all of our games. This was what it was. It's simple. 1, win, or at least get close to being equal in the time of possession. We've been so bad in time of possession that if we actually had like equal time of possession, it would seem like we had the ball the entire game. That's how bad it's been. Yep. So just be close to 50%, like 50-50 time of possession, or better would be better. 2, be sacked less than the opponent. This is all repeat from last week. Be sacked less than the opponent. If they get sacked once, let's get sacked 0. If they get sacked 4 times, let's get sacked 3 times. But whatever it is, we got to be 1 ahead. Number 3, obviously I can't say Davante Adams only scores 2 touchdowns because he's not playing. I don't have to worry about DeAndre Hopkins because he's not playing. So, what does it come down to? I guess I got to take the easy one that would make the difference, and that would be the turnovers. It's like the sacks. As long as we're on the plus side, 1+ than the other team, than the Cardinals, I think we'll win. So, equal to or better than time of possession, 1 less sacks than the opponent, less turnovers than the opponent. That's easy, right? Simple.
It sounds. Why don't we just do that? Why didn't we do that last week?
But seriously, it's like, I know Coach Marsh has this thing about the time of possession is an overrated stat, but I disagree. I agree with him on a lot of stuff. Actually, I don't agree with a lot of stuff. But at this point, I disagree. Because I think you can win the time of possession and still lose the game. Right? We've seen teams that go down the field, a.k.a. teams that play us, down the field to get to the 5-yard line, and then you don't get in the end zone, you have to kick a field goal. So you can win the time of possession, and if you don't get in the end zone, you can still lose. I believe, though, that if we can get that far, we will actually succeed. So time of possession, I think, is going to be everything for us.
It's so important now because, well, first of all, the fact that the offense has lost the locker room, that's huge. Because if now we can take a super long drive, especially with the game we're coming off of, where the defense, you gave up 3 points through 3 quarters, and you still are losing. How are you losing after giving up 3 points through 3 quarters? Like that's unfathomable, especially for an offense like this, right? Or at least what it's supposed to be. So the fact that we just had a game where if we would have controlled more than 20 minutes of action, it was 39-20. That is double our time of possession. If that would have just been even, we would have won that game comfortably. Like if we could have sustained drives, our defense was playing great, exhausted.
Right.
Imagine if they were just had some juice left, maybe a turnover goes our way. Maybe our pass rushers get a sack. Maybe, we have fresher legs for the plays because they haven't been out there for 10 minutes straight, then 2 minutes off, then 10 minutes straight.
Exactly. You could have the Chicago Bears Super Bowl defense, and if they have to play twice as long as maybe that's overstated because they probably get some turnovers and stuff. But the point is, if you keep those guys out there long enough, eventually you're gonna wear them down. Your offense has to do something. We were shut out. You can't win a game when you're shut out. It's kind of hard, right? It's kind of hard to. It's just like baseball. You could have a Cy Young no-hitter type pitcher, but if the offense doesn't score a single run, you can't win the game. So you have to have some offense, and this offense is not. They try to be, but the defenses are not going to allow them to be. This is what shoots that time of possession thing in the foot, because how that Nick LeBeau was saying a time of possession is overrated. That's true if you are hitting home runs with deep balls and scoring at will, right? Like Greatest Show on Turf or like Seattle early part of last year. But the teams aren't going to give them that. They are already knowing that you beat the Seahawks by taking that away. You take DK and Tyler Lockett deep away, and you say, try to beat us underneath. Try to run it and try to throw the short stuff, which you know you can't do. And when you have to play that, you have to have time of possession, because that's the only way you're going to go down the field, drives 5 yards at a time, 7 yards at a time, because you're not getting a 50-yard bomb, because they're saying we're not going to let you have that. So you have to have time of possession. Otherwise, you're not getting drives sustained. So this is where time of possession is totally critical, because they're taking away the deep ball. We're not going to score 70 points. We're not built that way, and they're not going to allow us to be that way. So we're going to have to do it the hard way. We're going to have to earn it step at a time, minutes at a time. So we have to have time of possession. It's the only way we're going to win this game. Or freaky turnovers.
Mesh concepts offensively. Why do we not run mesh?
Yeah, isn't that the staple of the 49ers and the West Coast offense? What the Rams do.
For those of you who don't know what mesh is, it's just underneath drags, right? It's crossers underneath, easy pass, short action.
5 yards, 7 yards, maybe.
The number one thing that it doesn't work against is like a cover 2 zone, because it has the hard flat right where the receivers are going to. Even against a cover 2 zone, if the linebackers are back, you can hit them underneath. And against cover 2 zone, that's where you're going to have, there are some opportunities to attack deep vertically up the seams. You put a post route in there. There are different things you can do. You can overload the safeties, put a streak, and a post. What are they going to guard? There's going to be somebody open for a big play or potentially a touchdown if you get them in cover 2, and you get them in cover 2 by running Mets and attacking the flats.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, every defense, there's no such thing as an impenetrable defense. There's some weakness, right? You take away the deep ball, you're giving away something underneath. You blitz, you're going to be somewhere vulnerable over here because you're an extra defender, no longer in pass coverage, who's going after your quarterback. So you've got to be able to see what they risk coming at you, and you have to have a solution for it. You know, I was watching that Atlanta game where Atlanta sucked. They also got shut out worse than us. But there was this play where the safety, the Patriots safety was on a full-on blitz. He was like 20 yards away. And the free safety just goes sprinting up to the line of scrimmage, and he snaps it at the perfect time, so he goes right through the middle of the line, untouched, full sprint. I'm going, oh, he's going down. But Matty Ice was able to, in the middle of this guy coming at him, full speed ahead, was able to hit this hot route and hits his tight end in kind of the like a hook or something on the left side, catches it and gets a first down. I mean, this guy had no chance. He was in his face in like less than 2 seconds, but he still got it up because I think he knew he had a receiver there. So we've got to be able to have an answer for every little thing that they throw at us. There's always an answer. They just gotta.
Agreed.
They've just gotta know that the answer has to be the preparation. Separation is the preparation, as Russell Wilson always says, and it's going to be there. But they've got to take what the defense gives them. And again, I'm putting so much on. I haven't even talked at all about what kind of Cardinals offense is going to be, but I really don't think it matters. I think if Seattle plays a game where they are just, like you said, time of possession, and they're taking what the defense gives them, and they're moving the ball steadily and smoothly, one play at a time, short chunks at a time, I think they will win this game. My doubts come is because I don't think they're going to commit to that. And we're going to see the same bad movie that we've seen this whole first part of this season. But if they change the movie and they do what I think we all want them to do, they will surprise us and win this game and go, where was this for the first 9 games? That's what I think they can do. That's why I say this turnaround I think is there. But they have to commit to it.
100% agree. We
gotta agree on something. We agree.
Well, and your hairstyle. I agree about that. Like you got a good hairstyle.
Hey, you know, I've been cutting my hair since COVID. I cut my own hair now. This is my own touch, man.
This is so impressive. I cut my hair one time. I went back to my barber. He said, "Don't ever do that again."
no, my hairdresser
messed it up.
Well, the thing about it is it's only from the front. It looks good because I'm in the mirror using my clippers and stuff. That looks pretty good. I probably turn around and like, oh my god, what the hell? But I'm sure the hairdressers or haircutters I used to go to would probably say, what the hell? Who cut your hair? But it works for me. I save a few bucks and because you ever go to get your hair cut? And you tell them, okay, so, short on the sides, the back, a little bit off the top, and keep it kind of long in the front. And then you come out of there and it's like, God dang it, they cut it too short again. I wanted a little bit longer this time, or they cut too much over here, or it's too long over here. When I find when I'm cutting my own hair, because I know what I want my hair to look like. And sometimes the communication, where I used to go is they're, one of those Vietnamese places and stuff. And so sometimes I'm not sure if they understand what I'm saying. And then sometimes I end up falling asleep in the chair. So I wake up and like, oh shit, they cut too much off of it. So now I have no one to blame except myself because I know exactly what picture I want it to look like. So yeah, this is DIY, baby.
Yes, sir. And you inspired me and some of my friends to do it. And you also inspired
to cut your hair?
A lot of failure. Yep.
And then you did it once and said, nope, going back.
As soon as I did it, I went home the same night and had to patch it up and correct things. And it was...
I like when
we were taking pictures that night.
I love it. Daddy Dennis says, Norb got the Floby skills. Do you guys know what the Floby is? Do you know what a Floby is? You're too young. No, you don't know what a Floby is.
The flubby?
Floby. You don't know what a Floby is.
Okay, what are you talking about then?
Okay, Daddy Dennis, clearly he's closer to my age than yours. The Floby was this thing invented. It probably came out in the 90s sometime. But this dude invented a haircut attachment to a vacuum cleaner. So all you had to do is go, just vacuum your hair, and it would cut your hair while sucking the hair into your vacuum at the same time. This dude was like a carpenter or a guy who worked out of his garage all the time. He's like, I was tired of having sawdust in my hair all the time and vacuuming out and paying expensive things. So I figured out a way you could just put blades on this attachment. And you could cut your hair and suck it up at the same time. My dad bought one of these things. Piece of crap.
That's impressive. Okay, that sounds like a very efficient, saves you $30 in 30 minutes.
I don't remember how much it cost, but my dad bought one. But no, I don't use Floby, although I do get my vacuum out though and vacuum stuff off my body when I'm done. But no, man, I just bought a pair of clippers because that's the key. Because I watch these guys cut my hair. I'm going, I could do that. They just go.
That's what I was talking about earlier. Wilson and Brady. Remember that? Yep. You look at these other YouTubers and you're like, I could do that.
Right. No, but I was actually watching them do it. I'm going, that looks easy. I just do a little this and that, a little bit of snip. I could cut my own hair. So there you go. And you gave me an unsolicited comment, so I must be doing something right. Like I said, it looks good from this angle because just don't look from the side or the back and it looks fine. But anyway, I think we're about to the end of the show. We've only been talking for 2 hours. I was saying, hey, Squabs, you want to go for like 15, 20, 30 minutes? We've been talking for over 2 hours now. I missed it though. This makes up for like 3 roundtables right here. Just this 1 2 hour session.
Maybe, at least, right?
Well, something like that. But anyway,
I feel like we've got a lot off our chests.
We did, and it was good. It was refreshing to see where your take was because we had not talked a lot about what's been going on with the Seahawks, and obviously there's been a lot to talk about. But we all have different takes on what's wrong, what needs to be done to fix it, who's to blame, who's more responsible for the failures, who's the key to making it turn around. But I think we do agree on that one thing. To getting it to turn around is it's no one person. It is definitely a cohesive, collaborative effort by all 3, at least key, players on the offense side. Shane Waldron, Pete Carroll, and Russell Wilson. They got to be in concert together. I think they could still turn this thing around, man.
But we just got to believe.
Even though I predicted a loss, I still believe. But I think we're going to lose. But I hope I'm wrong, man.
Prove us wrong.
Prove us wrong.
What we want to see is like our offense, just like, oh yeah, that wasn't us. 100 yards on the ground, 120 yards on the ground, 250 through the air, 3 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing. 35-20 victory. Like that's what, if this was years of the past, maybe if everyone was bought into Pete Carroll, that's what we'd get. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, man. And, it's like I watch other teams play on other times on Sundays and Mondays and Thursday nights. And I watch teams that are just going, wow, that's good. Why don't we do that? Maybe we should go for it on 4th down once in a while, like you said. And it's just with the little things. It's just like, oh, wow, look at that cool pass to the tight end. Or, oh, wow, look at that little misdirection thing. And, wow, he was wide open. Oh, look at that screen pass. That looked pretty good. You just want to see our team. Even if they don't win tomorrow, if I at least see things moving in the direction where we look more like the kind of team we want them to look like, I'll be at least somewhat happy. I just don't want to keep seeing the same thing. Because of this offense that's never on the field, that's got to stop.
Norb, we do have one more thing to talk about. I totally forgot.
What?
How your dog's about to lose in this Apple Cup for the first time since 2013. Yeah.
Man, I've been so disconnected from this college football season. This has been a weird season, man. We both lost our head coaches. Different reasons, of course. Quarterback, talking about offenses that suck. Again, it's like, man, this just reminds me of, in some ways, like 2008 when the Huskies didn't win a game and Mike Holmgren had this horrible year. The Sonics got taken out. Well, it's at least not that bad. We actually got a hockey team, and no one's going 0-something. But yeah, it's not been good for the west side of the mountains for our football teams. That's for sure. And Apple Cup. I have no idea, man. I have no idea what this Apple Cup is going to look like, to be honest with you. It wouldn't shock me, though.
Coming off 44-18 against a team you struggled against.
Yeah, but you know how it is, man. Just because A is greater than B greater than C doesn't mean A is greater than C. And you guys should have won that when we played you guys in Pullman in the snow. Was it 2-3 years ago? Whatever.
It's a new team.
I know, but I'm just saying, how many times has it been that even when it looks like Wazoo is good, they somehow stumble against the Huskies. I'm not saying we're going to win this game. I'm just saying it wouldn't surprise me if everything looks like it's going the way that it should go with the Cougars having the upper hand, that they'll find some way to lose. It just
there's a real chance. I actually uploaded a video about it. I don't know if you saw it, but it was for one of my classes. I uploaded a video about why, and I wrote a paper about why the Cougars are going to win this year's Apple Cup. You guys aren't the same as you've been in the past. First of all,
that's for sure.
Normally, you've been 18-2 in September since 2016. This year, you were 2-2 with unimpressive victories against Arkansas or Arkansas State, I believe, and then it was against Cal, but it took you overtime to beat Cal, and they were 1-5.
I'm not going to argue that we're a weak team. It's very uninspiring. So you don't even have to waste time convincing me of that, because I already know. I already know that we're not a good team. Dylan Morris is horrible.
We have the better quarterback, and it's not even close. It's the most important position in football, and we have the better, most important player. Like, we just have the better roster. Pass rushers, statistically, we have better, 2 of them. Now, and my name's Noah, so I'm counting them by 2s, right? So, pass rushers, running backs, receivers, all of the top 2 at those positions, we have the premium, and that's why we're going to win this matchup.
Totally sounds right. On paper, you got it all figured out, man. That's right, why they play the games.
It's going to be crazy, man. It's going to be fun, man. Good luck, though, for real. I hope you have a happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, in advance. Happy Thanksgiving. And to everybody else. I know we're not there yet, but it's coming up real quick. And yeah. I brought A1 Gamer Trey because he said he wanted to talk to you one last time. So, A1 Gamer Trey, you there?
Sweet.
Yeah, I'm here. What up, Noah? I was just coming to tell y'all about my Tennessee winning tonight, 60-14, bro. We still ain't got a ranking spot, but guess what? It's coming soon. Y'all all better get ready, because Tennessee is winning it all. He is winning it all this year. I guarantee you that. I could bet all my money on that. 60-14. Who beating us? Nobody. I just came to tell y'all that because I heard y'all talking about college and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, when did this suddenly become a college show? College game day, right?
Travion, I nothing but love towards you. I love your takes. I appreciate the support. I'm gonna subscribe to your channel, all that stuff. But I would definitely take that action about Tennessee if you're trying to make that bet.
I'm gonna tell y'all my predictions for the Seahawks game. I predict 20-17, maybe Seahawks winning. Cause like Norb said, if Kyler Murray is out, that's a good chance that we could win the game. But another problem on the Seahawks is I don't think we watching film. I think we should go watch the Cardinals, see what's their best moves on offense.
You don't think they're doing that already? You don't think they haven't been watching film?
I looked at the offense, the Seahawks offense, and they're always looking confused to me on against the Packers. They was looking confused. Be honest.
The offense or the defense? The offense? The offense looked confused. Like we didn't know what to do against their defense. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. That's what it was looking like. We was playing like it too. It was playing like it was confused, like what we go do next. How we go get the ball up and down the field, how we go score. That's what it looked. I thought teams supposed to have that stuff planned out before a game. I don't think we had that planned out.
Well, I would have to agree with you there, man. There were times, don't you? Isn't it funny when you watch a game and you feel like you know better than everybody else on the team? Going, why are they doing that? I could call the better game than what they're calling right now. Then you play some Madden, then you realize you're not as smart as you think you are. Playing Madden suddenly humbled me. It's like, oh god, now I actually have new appreciation for these play callers and stuff. It's actually harder than I thought. But no, it's hard. It is hard. It's like you see a bad play and you want to just blame them for what the hell are you doing, and then they do a great play and it's easy to say, oh yeah, that was a good play, we should do that again. But then that doesn't guarantee it's going to work the next time. It's tough, man. You never know. I mean, so many things have to go right. And you got to have the right play against the right matchup. And your one-on-ones have to win their battles. And your execution's got to be just a little bit better than the other team. I mean, every play and I know Noah will agree with me because he played football. Every play on defense or offense is designed to succeed, right?
Yeah.
If you draw it up and you have your X's and O's, if everybody does their job, your play should work. Ultimately, it's going to come down to your man beating the other man. And if that doesn't happen, the whole thing could fall apart. So, it comes down to that, is that your team's got to win their one-on-one matchups, and eventually, you get the better end of it. But
that's the thing. It's planned for everybody to do their job, but our offensive line is not doing their job. That's what it's planned for. You shouldn't have your quarterback who just coming off of an injury running for his life almost every play. You shouldn't have that, man. The offensive line needs to work on blocking better, or work on different type of rushes, pass rushing they need to work on. Just protect Rush, because he, like I said, he is coming off an injury, and I think he's playing nervous, focusing on a finger injury. I think that's why he was off his game last week against the Packers, and I just hope we do better and win the rest of our games, man. Let's just hope and pray, bro.
Yeah,
we could get that last wild spot.
I'm with you, man. There's a lot there. And no, one last thing. I know we're already wrapping it up, and I'm bringing in closing arguments. We're already done. I'm bringing in new evidence, but one last thing is there was a lot to be said about the referees, the bad calls against the Seahawks. They're terrible, right? And usually anytime you start to say, well, the refs made some really bad calls, the first thing anyone on the counter side will say is well, you shouldn't have left it to where the referees had to decide the game for you guys. Never should have come to that, right? That's the natural defensive reaction to take the other side whenever someone sounds like they're going to start blaming your team's loss because of the refs. But in this case, it is a valid point. And the reason is because Seattle's margin of error to win is like this, right? It's razors thin the way we're playing right now. So when the offense can barely get on the field, every little turnover, every little call that should have gone one way or the other that decided, especially turnovers, but would have decided, this penalty not called or this penalty called, changes the entire direction of a team like Seattle. Now, if you're a team that's like the Cowboys putting up 30-something points a game, you could probably overcome a few bad calls. But when we can't even score a point, you need everything to go your way. And so when those calls started to add up, the lack of penalties or the turnovers that should have been a Rodgers fumble and a Seattle recovery in midfield, when those things don't go your way, those aren't just little, that's a bad holding call. This is a game-changing turnover play that gives the offense something that they don't have, and that's more time on the field. So the refs did have something to do with the loss of the game because of how poor they were playing. Maybe not the only reason, but they definitely had an effect in a game where we were 3 points down at the beginning of the fourth quarter.
Oh, man, if we make that field goal instead of that ghost holding call, what a difference that would have made. The refs have always favored.
Yeah, at the end of the first half. My God, I mean, you couldn't even. What were they looking at? I mean, Damian Lewis first. It's hard to be holding when you just got trucked, right? How are you holding unless you're grabbing the guy on the way down? But he's just been run over, so I don't know how you can even call holding on that play. But that cost us 3 points, easy 3 points. Well, not easy. It was like a 50-something yard field goal, but I think Jason Myers makes that, and it's a tie ball game instead of being down 3.
Tie ball game, and we have points on the board, which is something we didn't do all day.
And getting the ball back in the second half with momentum, with scoring. That was terrible. That's been the season, though, right? It's been the season of just being on the wrong side of that narrow margin of error. The opposite of last year. We were so lucky last year. Being 5-0 or 6-0 start last year? But we were lucky. We were lucky to be in that position. We could have easily been 3-3 or worse. This year we're just worse. But we're not that different of a team. Just the result has been different. Like you said, the margin of victory has been pretty small. So we're not as. Last year we weren't as good as I think our record said we were, and I don't think we're as bad as our record says we are either. Does that make sense? I think we're an average of the two.
Agreed.
We were 12-4 last year, and I don't know how we'll finish this year. Obviously, the best we can finish is 11-6, but we could finish 9-7. You know, we could finish 8-8. But I think we're somewhere
8-9.
between 8-9. We're somewhere between a maybe slightly above mediocre team if you take the two records from last year and this year. It's just that's how narrow our margin is. We're not as good as we were last year, and we're not as bad as we seem to be this year.
Agreed.
It's fixable. Still fixable. But we'll see. We'll see how it feels after tomorrow. And I think both you and I aren't confident that it's going to be fixed because they haven't set up Screen Pass Saturday yet until they set Screen Pass Saturday or Screen Pass Friday or Screen Pass Thursday or whatever.
Screen Pass Sunday, man. How about we just stop them on Sunday?
Just do it on Sunday. There it is. You practice it on Sunday because you're already looking for it and you know what you need to do. There it is. We know what it has to be. We know the solution. Let's just see if they do it tomorrow.
Bingo.
Where are you going to be watching the game at? Where are you going to watch the game at tomorrow?
I'm going to be at my place. I'm going to have my buddy over, Aaron Monson, who he actually got to meet Maurice Jones-Drew and work with him and get a picture with him yesterday in the press box.
Nice.
He's the sports director for KUGR, their student-run radio station that I work for and cover the games for. And he's a great guy. And so he's going to come over. We're going to watch the game together.
Nice. Streaming or just watching? Just watching like good
Just
old
watching.
Fans. Oh, you kind of need that. You haven't been a fan enough this year. You've been working so much, so it actually must be nice to just be a fan, right?
And do homework at the same time. Every Sunday has been homework and football.
You sound like my daughter.
I could be your son. I could.
All right. Well, let's hope for the best tomorrow and just go Hawks, baby.
Go Cougs. Go Hawks.
That's for another time. All right, you guys, thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe. This is, again, Squabo Says, my special guest, Noah Boelter. Squabo Says, you can check out his channel. It's on the description. And you can also find it on social media at Squabo Says. And, yeah, keep tabs on this video. One day you're going to watch this video and go, I remember Noah when he was just that dude at Wazoo, or that guy at Green River, who's now this famous dude tearing it up in the sports broadcasting world. Someday soon.
And as an actor, Norb, you can't. I totally forgot to mention it, but I've been acting for a TV show.
What?
You guys should. I totally forgot to mention it.
How do you not mention something like that? You can't just drop that in the last seconds when I'm saying my goodbye. What? What's this acting business?
I was thinking about it earlier. Well, it's for the TV station that I work for. And so there's a TV show. It's called Lost in Digitization, and I'm this big bad guy that I murdered someone with my bare hands. On Cable 8's YouTube channel. Yep, at Cable 8 on YouTube. And
so wait. So you're saying we could watch these episodes now? The show you're in is available now on YouTube?
Yes.
Well, put the link.
Last episode.
Put the link in the chat or something so people can see it.
The last episode comes out tomorrow, I believe, and it's my most impactful episode. It's the one where I have the most scenes. There's going to be a whole bunch of stuff, but I've already killed somebody. I've already chewed people out. It's very intense. Like it's a good show. My first appearance was in episode 2, and I've been in 2 through 5, and now 6 is good, or 2 through 4, and now 5 is going to be.
Okay, give me the elevator version of what this show is about. So I need to know the title and a quick summary of the synopsis of what is the premise of this show. Go.
See, you're a TV show guy, so I think you could appreciate it because I'm the opening scene in a couple of the episodes, and they're really they were building up my appearance, and it's really cool. I think you're gonna love it. The point of the show is essentially it's called Lost in Digitization, and what it is I am this evil person that has captured and kidnapped a whole bunch of people. Essentially, I pay people money to let me use them as slaves. And there's a secret world where it's like you can do all sorts of different things. It's like an online universe, and essentially I pay people lots of money so that they go into this world and give up years of their lives in their freedom, in their ability to make choices by paying them money. And so there's this person that, and it's like a gaming world, right? It's like a virtual chat. And so people go in there and they go in as players and they see these people that are kidnapped and they're like, why are these people acting like robots? Like, essentially a main character goes in, falls in love with one of the characters, wants to free her, but realizes that she's under my power. And so then the entire thing comes about, he's trying to free her and I'm trying to shut him down. And we get into this huge battle, and it's this build up towards the end where I'm killing people that are on his side and he's working with with some of my staff to try and overthrow me. And it's this big evil.
Sounds complex. Sounds complex. So, all right. So, Lost in Digitization. It's on YouTube on your, what did you say? Your school's cable? Cable 8 YouTube
here.
channel.
Let me get the.
Put it in the chat, man, so people can just click on it there. Wow. So, not only are you sports reporting, you're doing classes, and you're starring in a show where you are a bad guy and a killer. That's quite the range.
It's been one of the most time-consuming things. I promise you, like, memorizing lines and stuff is...
Man, talking about busy. Jeez. Have time for a life? All right, you put it in the chat?
Episode.
This is in the chat now?
Episode. It's there.
Where is it? You put it in the chat of this stream?
Yeah.
There it is. Okay, there you go. So check it out. Just go to the chat, click on the link, and we can watch Squabo's acting. This is your acting debut, right? Or this is the latest one, but we can see other episodes there.
Yeah, no, definitely go check it out. It's so much fun. So much fun. Get to see me be evil.
Wow. I never thought of you as evil, but this might change my perspective, my perception of
Norb,
you.
seriously, Norb, can you please watch it and tell me what you think? Because I really care what you think.
From an aspect of my critique of you as an actor?
Yes.
Okay, because you're not producing or directing or cutting this content. You're just an actor.
Yep, just an actor.
All right. Very cool. I will check it out, man. I got some different things to watch. I got to watch that. I got to go see your volleyball highlights from the Pac-12 broadcast. I got to watch that. You know, you've been a busy man.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
All right, in a good way. All right, well, you guys all got to go check those out too. So check out the links and drop me a sub here, sub to Squabo's channel as well. And most importantly, let's get a win tomorrow, for crying out loud. Let's do this thing. All right, Squabo, thanks for watching. Thanks for being in the show, man. Everybody else who was calling in and jumping in on the Discord, thank you so much. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye-bye now. Go Hawks.